Welcome to J is for Justice podcast. If live breaking news and following true crime is your thing, then please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you like what you see in my videos, please consider giving them a thumbs up. We are live, Roberters. Wait. Whoa, what just happened? Oh, wow. Hold on. I think I know what's wrong. I think I blew everybody's eardrums. Are you guys there?
Ouch.
Much better. I don't know if they heard that or if it was just me.
just for us.
Hey, ladies. Hey, ladies.
Hello, hello.
How are you tonight?
Doing pretty good, thank you.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
So we're kind of just like playing this off, you guys, because this is part 2, you know? So for replay purposes, it's a long time no see. How are you, Maligator?
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. I'm trying to make our screen bigger. We are waiting for one more. We're waiting for Heather J. But we're going to be playing the end of part 1 that we just finished. So I'll pull that up for you guys. Hold on. Let me get us situated again. Heather J, are you having a hard time? Oh, you guys did hear it? Sorry.
Oopsies.
I know. Sorry.
Yeah, my AirPods were like, whoa.
Oh my God, were they like vibrating? Like,
Yeah.
my ears were vibrating. I know that for sure. Sorry about that. Always keeping you guys on your freaking toes.
For real.
Hey, it just wouldn't be a J stream if I didn't.
We have to always have bloopers.
Always got the Roberta moment.
This is one big blooper. I think I'm living one big blooper, you guys. A bloopity blooper. Okay, so let's see. I've got you guys here with me now, and I'm really needing to get off the big camera. And let's say hi to everybody. My sounds aren't working, so I can't have Robertolino say Roberters. So good evening, Roberters. Hello, Janice Burns. Thank you for making it tonight for part 2 of the Casey Anthony Rewind. Be kind and rewind like they do at Blockbuster, where Casey and Tony went to rent their movies. Mike Sanders says, funny, I thought I was playing bass guitar along with Jay's intro song. Maybe you were. Rock on, rock on. All right, so let's play the end of this this last stream that we just did, because we talked a little bit about Mr. Lee.
Yeah.
Let's see. Trying to make sure I have the right dang video up. It's still the lady. Got too many windows. All right, I'm going to take you guys away for a second. All right, say goodbye to the ladies for a second. Say bye, ladies.
Bye.
We're going to go watch Crazy Casey.
Bye.
Bye. Here we go.
See you later.
Casey will not tell her where Kaylee is. So when patrol units of the Orange County Sheriff's Office are initially dispatched to this call, they're unsure whether or not this is a stolen vehicle call, is this some other theft call, is this a domestic incident?
All of the above.
Mm-hmm.
Because while Cindy Anthony is waiting, it does take a while for the Sheriff's Office to arrive, based on the priority levels that they give calls.
Heather J. Jones.
Lee Anthony is talking to Casey Anthony, who is now in her role.
Who is now what?
In her
Lee
room.
Anthony
So
is
she
fine.
left. And went
Oh
to
my
her
God,
room.
that's totally how I pictured her too. I pictured her to go in her room, shut the fucking door,
Yeah.
and refuse to talk to her mom like a teenager.
And Cindy was probably hysterical because on that call she was.
Oh, she's
So I can
pissed.
just imagine Casey's just all calm, and that's the worst. Like when you're trying to get someone to speak to you and they're not speaking and they're calm and you're getting more and more frustrated.
Well, and
So,
I
yeah,
can picture her too, like having
Yeah.
Lee in there and like trying to manipulate Lee. Like,
Yeah.
mom is freaking the fuck out. Like, I don't know what her fucking problem is.
Yeah.
Kaylee's fine. You know, just totally downplaying the whole situation.
And she'd already said that her mom was crazy as well to her friends.
This is insane. Because, yeah, Cindy's like, it smells like there's been a damn dead body
Yeah.
in the car. Like, she is fed up. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, she doesn't care if Kaylee goes or Casey goes to jail. She doesn't care.
Yeah, and that call is her raw emotions as well. Like what she's saying in that call is real.
Yes.
Because then she backtracks afterwards.
Yep. That was, yeah, you're right. The denial went to the wayside. She had Kaylee on her mind first in the forefront then.
It's Casey Anthony to just take mom, Cindy, to Kaylee. What's the problem? This is going to happen anyway. Why are you doing this? To the point where Lee Anthony eventually engages in what can only be termed as a role-playing episode with his sister, where Lee Anthony pretends to be the police officer and says, Miss Anthony, good evening. I see that you're having a problem here with your mother. Why don't we just resolve this?
Oh, my
you take us
God.
to the child and everything will be fine.
You've got to be kidding me.
What?
What? Wait, that's the first I've ever heard this.
Is she saying that that's what actually happened, or is
Wait, I gotta rewind that
or is
because
she trying to describe the scenario like that's he was asking questions as if he was an officer?
I don't know. Let's replay it because I thought she said that he had to resort to that.
Yeah, that's
to
what
get
it sounded
answers.
like. That's weird.
Yikes. Okay, let's play that again.
Happen anyway. Why are you doing this? To the point where Lee Anthony eventually engages in what can only be termed as a role-playing.
Oh my God, he actually did it.
So
I'm shooketh, honestly.
So that's like, so does Casey normally have like fantasy situations?
Does she usually
and,
have Lee roleplay to her?
and Lee's role playing to be in her fantasy land? Like, what?
What in the
Is that the
pure?
only way to get things out of her?
Okay, that's the most bizarre thing I've heard so far.
Yeah, I can't even remember that.
I kind of have goosebumps. Like, bleh.
So weird.
Yeah, they're weird.
Weird. It's very weird.
They're loud and beefy. All right, we're almost done. Chicky here has one more minute to convince us.
Episode with his sister, where Lee Anthony pretends to be the police officer and says, Miss Anthony, good evening.
Did he dress
I
up
see that
too?
you're having a problem here with your mother. Why don't we just resolve this? Take us to the child and everything will be fine. We'll all go home. We'll all be happy.
The sexy police officer. What the
Did he re-enter the room as a police officer?
What the pure?
Stop for a moment.
Wait.
I'm going for about an hour and a half. Let yours take a break. We're
Lord.
going to take a recess.
He's like,
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to take a 15-minute...
he's like, you shut the
done.
fuck up.
He's like, this has got weird now. I want a break.
Yeah, stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Done.
Yeah, that was a bit bizarre.
Very strange. And it's not the end then, because they're just having a recess.
Okay, so that was the end of our part one. If you missed the end, I know the sound cut, so we're gonna pick up with the next part now. But yeah, how bizarre, huh?
Your laughing through that was cracking me up.
Oh my God. I was dying. Okay, let me get you guys back on the screen. Hold on. Let me bring the ladies back. The lovely, lovely ladies.
I couldn't actually hear the video though, so I could only hear you laughing.
Oh, you couldn't?
We can just hear you chuckling. It was just you laughing.
You'll have to go back and replay it because it's just damn funny. Because I'm like, what did he... She's like, she's like reenacting like how he went in the bedroom to, do the role playing as the police officer to Casey to get her to admit. And I was like, did he dress up too?
Yeah, did he like change his voice as well?
And then I
We
said,
could just hear you going.
and then I said, the sexy police officer. I'm like, but really, I mean, with all humor aside, I mean, that poor guy was like in the middle, like stuck in the middle with you.
Yeah. Yeah. All pressure was on him to try and get some answers.
Yeah, because like what we were saying, Cindy was like, wouldn't tell him what was going on. So he had no clue what the heck was going on. And his mother's like, ask your sister. So he's going in there and he's like, oh my God, I can't communicate with these women. So he literally had to like resort to role playing. That's so disturbing to me.
She had him first searching like her MySpace and stuff to see what clubs and stuff she was at before.
Yeah.
So he knew a little bit before he got there.
So he knew that she had been out and stuff, partying.
And gone, right? He couldn't find her.
Okay. Hey, Heather J., welcome.
Hey.
Thanks for joining tonight. Good to have you.
Yeah.
It's the HJ in the house.
It is.
All right. You ready for this? You girls ready?
Yep. We ready.
All right. Let's do it. Just so you guys know, this is a runtime of about 52 minutes without us flapping our yaps.
Jury, that's the defense. Members of the jury, did you heed all my previous admonitions? Ms. Burdick, you may continue.
At the break, we were speaking of Lee Anthony's efforts to convince his sister Casey of her need to just tell Cindy, their mother, where Kaylee Anthony was. That resisting, fighting, just not giving the information was counterproductive and would ultimately result in the same ending regardless. That whether or not Casey did it, or Lee did it, or the police did it, that they were all going to see Kaylee that night. However, in a pattern that is repeated throughout this case, when Casey Anthony's lie can no longer stand, when she can't get out of the corner that she has painted herself into, when her back is up against the wall, and when the stakes increase, what does Casey Anthony do? What does she do? Casey Anthony comes up with a new, a bigger, and a better lie. It is at this point, with her back against the wall, with her brother telling her that the result of this disagreement that you are having with our mother will end in our mother's favor, that Casey Anthony first says these words: Kaylee was kidnapped by the babysitter. The babysitter that nobody has ever seen, that nobody ever saw, that her parents didn't know, that her brother had never heard of. Kaylee has been kidnapped by Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. And upon hearing this information, all Kaylee's Uncle Lee could think of was nothing. He goes into vapor lock. He can't believe his ears. He has to focus now on solving this problem. And even though Cindy Anthony, the evidence will show, had to realize that her daughter had lied and lied and lied and lied for 31 days about where she was, about where Kaylee was, about what they were doing. At that moment, Cindy Anthony had to believe her daughter. Although her first response, according to the testimony that you'll hear from Lee Anthony, is, "What did you do?" Her first response directed at Casey Anthony, "What did you do?" And at that point, this story, the evidence will show, had its desired effect to take the focus off of Casey Anthony. Her mother was in her face. Her brother is in her face. How do you get out of that? You tell another lie. Cindy Anthony goes into an all-out panic. At this point, 911 again, the third time on the phone, and you will hear Cindy Anthony's panic 911 call to the Orange County Sheriff, the third call she made that day. And this time she is hysterical. Cindy Anthony wants Casey Anthony to speak to the dispatcher on the phone. You can hear the exchange, and then you can hear Casey Anthony get on the phone like nothing. With the attitude, well, why do you people want to talk to me? I don't want to talk to them. During this call, Cindy Anthony tells the dispatcher from the Orange County Sheriff's Office that her granddaughter was kidnapped. "I cannot find my granddaughter. Something is wrong. It smells like there's been a dead body in the damn car." As you will learn, as this trial unfolds, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, as do all police agencies, keep a almost second by second accounting of their response to a call. You will learn that the first officer that arrived at the Anthony residence was Corporal Rendon Fletcher. Now, Corporal Fletcher's dispatch was to the second call. So he's not completely apprised until he gets there of the seriousness of this call. Eventually, after learning from Lee Anthony and Cindy Anthony and Casey Anthony in the home that Kaylee is missing and this Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez has Kaylee, the Orange County Sheriff's Office begins to gather information about locating this person. And one of the things that is told to them by Casey Anthony is that Zanny, or Zenaida, lives at the Sawgrass Apartments, which is off of Conway Road in Orlando.
I was just going to say, can you pause?
Really? You read my mind?
I literally.
Okay, you go first.
Do you think she was killed by accident? I feel like that could be like, I think she drugged her, duct taped her mouth, to keep her quiet, but I think she accidentally just suffocated. I don't think she intentionally. I think she
that
wanted
she
to go
wanted
out.
to kill her.
Yeah, so that's kind of a hard question because I do, but I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that as well because, like, I'd just been saying that I thought it was an accident, but then I'm also thinking, well, they'd had an argument as well. So did she do it because of the argument? Like,
Out of
she did it
spite.
on purpose. Like, she was mad and she just snapped.
To like
I think it was
get
an
back at her.
accident.
Yeah.
You think it was an accident too, Heather?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you think? What I'm confused about, and help me understand. I know I was reading chat when I said this in the last stream, but people were like, "Oh, she's just a psycho." But I mean, I guess I just don't understand why. Why that day? Why then? Was she? It doesn't sound like she was being held from going out. It sounds like Cindy was more than willing and always had, Kaylee. So what do you guys think was the catalyst for her to do that? Because it's not like, there was some big thing planned and she wanted to go, so she stuffed her in the trunk and went and partied for 2 days and then came back and she was dead. Like, she was literally just chilling. Like, why?
Well, hadn't Cindy realized that she was stealing money and that's what their argument was about?
Yes, she stole a check from her grandmother.
Her grandma, yeah. So maybe
the
she was
grandma
like,
was in a nursing home.
Yeah.
And Casey stole a check and paid for, Amanda
Her
said
phone
it in
bill.
chat. It was what?
Her phone bill. Her phone
Paid
bill.
her phone bill with a stolen check from Amy.
Mm-hmm.
And
So she was probably thinking,
or from her grandma, I mean.
Yeah, so she's probably thinking, well, screw you, I'm not leaving Kaylee. Like, you want to fight with me to punish them, and took her to then wanting to go out. And I think she put her in her trunk, and I think she duct taped her mouth, and I think that she died.
But they didn't even go out that night, though. They only went to Tony's
Yeah, that's what I don't get.
apartment.
Because
Well,
she
maybe
always,
didn't want to take her in with her.
I mean, she always brought her around. The friends even asked, hey, where's Kaylee? Like,
Yeah.
it was unusual for Kaylee to not be there. So that's why I'm just wondering, what do you guys think was the catalyst that made her do that?
Well,
I
that's
think it was the argument and the fact that her whole lifestyle, like what she'd been doing, stealing money and stuff, was going to be falling apart. Like,
was
she was
catching
being
up.
found out and she wasn't going to be able to hide it anymore. And she was angry at her mum for realizing or whatever. And that made her snap.
What do you think, Heather?
Well, I think that's kind of, why I think it's an accident is because there really wasn't anything to set her over the edge to just snap.
Right. I agree with you. But
the other thing, too, is, like, her mom is a huge PowerPoint, and I feel like so was Casey. And if she wanted to be like, well, she knew her one big thing to them was Kaylee.
What a way to punish them.
To take her away.
Yeah, and Cindy also threatened to, like, take Kaylee away from her. So she was probably thinking, well, if I can't have her, you're not going to have her either.
Yeah. Exactly. She was kind of like, screw you, and I'm taking her.
Yeah, I wonder if, like, what, exactly was said during that fight. If there was, like, talk of, you are never going to have your shit together. I'm going to adopt Kaylee. I wonder if how deep that argument actually got.
But part of me too, like, I'm torn of, that she did think about it, because there were searches on the computer.
Yeah, there was from March that year.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And her mom claimed them to be hers once they finally, like, her mom kind of went to Casey's side in court. I feel like she defended her a little bit.
I agree.
Yeah, she's defending her still.
Yeah, her time card said she was at work, but then said she was the one searching those things at home, and that's why they were like, no, you were timed in at work. So
yeah, she was backpedaling a little bit there.
Yeah,
quite a bit.
I found all those internet searches as well, and it was from March 2017, and the 21st she said there was a search for chloroform, and they spent about 3 minutes searching chloroform and intermittently going back to Facebook and MySpace.
But isn't that like over a year before?
No, it was March 2008.
Yeah.
Oh,
March
2008.
2008, and then this
Okay.
happened in June.
I thought you said 2007 for some reason.
No,
Okay,
2008.
so
But there were
in
also
March.
searches for like chest trauma, internal bleeding, how to
Yep.
make chloroform, neck breaking, self-defense, head injuries. So there was a lot. There was a lot of searches before this even happened.
Wow,
And then
March though.
on the day of, there was a search for foolproof suffocation as well, which wasn't found until after the trial had ended.
But if she
Yeah.
did those searches in March, that would mean this was premeditated and not
Yeah.
an accident.
Exactly.
So these issues could have been going on for a long time, and
Oh, I'm
and her
sure they
anger was
were.
just building up.
You guys, I think there's so many issues and layers in this family. It's like peeling back an onion. And it just so happened that this tragedy happened to their family, and it just fucking, I think, made it all come to the top.
Yeah.
Because I could go on and on about what I see in their family. Like just what I see going on with, with all the dynamics between all of them. And it's funny too, because when you watch the jailhouse calls, you really see the different dynamics between Casey and George and Casey and her mother.
Yeah.
And Lee too.
Definitely.
And Lee too.
And the interesting thing as well about that search on June 16th was that it was made about 1 hour after George had left to go to work. So she was the only one there at that time.
And is it possible though that the drowning may have happened on Casey's watch after George went to work?
But they didn't find any proof of that drowning, though, did they?
They don't have any cause of death.
There was nothing to test for drowning. It was just bones.
The only proof there was, though, was that she had duct tape around her mouth.
Yeah.
So that's not an accidental drowning. I mean, if
No.
you accidentally drown your kid, why would you put duct tape on her face?
And the duct tape also matches up with the suffocation search that was done.
Correct.
Yeah, true. I don't know. I just have such a hard time believing that people can actually do these things,
They do it every day.
But they do.
though.
I know, and I
all the
try to
time.
find like a reason why. Like I try to like make it makes a little bit of sense because it's just
To
so
be selfish.
it's awful. These little kids just are like, just
But you even see her
pawns
now.
in a game, and it's so sad.
It's
Like,
impossible for us to
partying
understand it as well because we
Yeah.
don't have that same thought process.
That's what I was just going to say. We're reasonable people, so we
Yeah.
can't make it make sense.
Right? Right. I mean, I guess you try to go for that scenario where it's like, okay, they didn't mean to do it. Because when you hear about these things, when someone means to hurt a little kid, it just really, I can't even deal with the thought, and it's just, I guess it's too hard to process that people actually do these things. It's just, it blows my mind still. I mean,
It's infuriating.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And don't you think, like, if she didn't do anything, that she would have stopped at nothing to figure out what happened to her little girl? Not to just go on, and now she's, like, getting in bar fights and dating and still drinking. She's still doing the same party scene. Like, she got away with it, and then it was like Kaylee didn't exist anymore. It was no one gave a shit about her.
She was free.
Yeah.
But
And
it's
also
so
something happened
weird.
to her daughter and she didn't phone 911, but when she has a
Right.
fight in a bar, she calls 911 on the person that she's having a fight with, like instantly.
With a drink, for a drink
Yeah.
spilt on her.
Because it's all about
Yeah.
her.
Because it's about her.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. Kelly Dime says, I don't get it and I don't want to. Same. Okay, let's
Yeah, it's a good thing that we don't understand it.
Yeah, I guess we
Yeah.
should be grateful that we're not like making it make sense, right?
Uh-huh.
All right, here we go.
Yep.
So deputies with the Orange County Sheriff's Office asked Casey to show them the last place she saw her daughter 31 days ago. And she gets into the car with Adriana Acevedo, a deputy with the Orange County Sheriff, Brendan Fletcher, the corporal that first responded to the call, follows in case he needs to do follow-up with the people at the Sawgrass Apartments. And they drive in to the location at the direction of Casey Anthony. She points out the apartment where she last saw her daughter, Kaylee, and says, "That's where I dropped Kaylee off on June 9th, 2008. Brendan Fletcher finds somebody with this apartment complex, somebody in management or maintenance, and it's determined that while this is July, now 16th probably, 2008, nobody's lived in that apartment since February 2008. The prior occupants were evicted.
I have a question.
Same.
Okay, so was she really looking for an empty apartment to say that the Zenaida lived at and lied and said that she was looking at apartments for Tony? Or was she really looking for apartments for Tony? Does anybody know?
I don't know that.
No,
Insert
think
cricket button here.
Yeah,
Nobody
think
knows.
I have no
I
idea.
just
No.
wondered.
We do
I
not
just-
know.
We do not know.
Think, I mean, how random could it be that she picked an empty apartment? So she obviously were scoping that out one way or the other for somebody, whether it be her or him. I mean,
Yeah. So what day
You don't
do
just
we
get
know how
lucky.
soon after Kaylee that day, the June 16th, do we know when she was looking for apartments? I don't remember.
I'm sure I read that earlier as well, and I didn't write it down.
It was that like right early on, wasn't it? In those first couple days.
while she was staying with him. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I think she really lied and said she was looking for apartments for him, but I think she was really scoping for an empty apartment that she could use to say where her
And
babysitter
info.
was.
Yeah.
What a conniving little bitch.
And what are the odds that there really was a woman with that name that was like mortified?
There's actually a lot of Zenaida Gonzalez's,
Yeah.
believe it or not, which is crazy, but yeah. Well, she ended up suing her civilly.
Yeah, she did.
Crazy stuff. I just can't get over it sometimes. Like, okay. All right, here we go.
So when these deputies from the Orange County Sheriff's Office returned to the Anthony home
Her
with
face.
Casey and no Kaylee, what does Cindy Anthony do? She continues to insist that something be done.
She insisted way too long.
Casey is lying that somebody needs to arrest her. She needs to tell me where Kaylee is. During this process, deputies send somebody to Tony Lazzaro's apartment where Casey's cell phone was. And her belongings were later retrieved by her brother, who went to the apartment. Kaylee Anthony was not there either. One of the things that Casey Anthony told them had to do with having contact information for this Zanny person in her phone. So the deputies retrieve that phone and attempt to get any information that night off of it that they can in an effort to find this person who allegedly has Casey Anthony's daughter, Kaylee. They ask Casey Anthony to put pen and paper. Tell us everything that you can tell us about what happened and about this person that you say kidnapped your daughter. They were there to help find Kaylee Anthony. So what does the evidence show Casey Anthony did? At the first opportunity given to her to put pen to paper, she writes, on Monday, June 9th, 2008, between 9 a.m. and 1 p.m., Casey Anthony, took my daughter, Kaylee Marie Anthony, to her nanny's apartment.
So maybe that was the morning she went
June
to the
9th.
apartments.
On Monday, June 9th, 2008.
Hey,
The
stop for 1
first
second.
words written to the Orange County Sheriff about
Potato, is there a ping for that June 8th?
June 8th.
Oh yeah, did she
Yeah, I
ping at
didn't-
those apartments that day?
I didn't get that far. I was only
Potato's
in-
working on the pangs.
Mm.
Roly poly, potatoes, little pings.
They do have the things for a whole 2-week period, but I don't know how far back it goes.
Well, I'd be curious to know, like that next morning, did she go say, oh, I got to go look for apartments for Tony,
Mm-hmm.
but really
Yeah.
went to these apartments to see where there was a vacant one? I
What
wonder-
date was it? June 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should do a map and like draw
Yeah,
out.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
So I know I'm getting ahead of myself here, but when she ran out of gas, how far away from her house was she? Like when her car
Which
got
time?
towed.
The first time or the second time? When
She
it got towed?
Yeah, when it got towed.
From the dumpster. I don't know where that dumpster is, but I'm sure we can find it.
Amscott? It was at Amscott.
Yeah, Amscott. Yeah.
But I just wondered, like, do we think that she that she had just dumped the body that day? And that's why the smell was so bad? Like, it had been a couple
and
days?
I think she purposely left that car.
So what date did she dump the car?
I think you're right, Maligator. I think because that's
That
Dunch.
smell. Because there was no hiding that. Who could she take in her car? They would
Well,
be
and
like,
she
"What?"
probably knew that her dad would know. I know a lot of you guys were asking about his law enforcement thing. So I looked it up. He was a homicide investigator. Believe it or not. He was a homicide investigator for 10 years for the Sheriff's Department of Trumbull County, Ohio. Then he got into some political stuff. What that political stuff is, I don't know. We haven't really looked into that, but then they made this abrupt move to Florida, and he was a security guard. So he never went into full out law enforcement here.
I remember when the trial was going on, I thought he said it. He did it. Stop doing it to spend more time with his family and Kaylee. You know what I'm saying?
That might have been what he said, but I don't know if that's really what happened.
Right.
Because it seems like that's a pretty good career, I mean, he wasn't. So I don't know. Let me see here. So June 8th, you said? I got a timeline here pulled
June
up.
8th, yeah.
See, none of these timelines go back to that. They go back from when the 911 call was made. They're not really following her steps, but we'll have to look into that. So let's continue listening to the prosecutor. I don't think that Jose's is very long, that his opening is very long, because this video is not that long and it's mostly her.
Yeah, and as much as I think that she did this to her, her lawyer did an amazing job to get her out of it. I mean, he did his job.
did.
Oh, absolutely.
Sadly, he did.
Yep. And the prosecutors failed to do theirs.
They really did.
And considering he didn't have much experience either, he did pretty amazing.
Yeah, he was only a lawyer for 5 years when he took this on. That's why he had to bring Cheney in for the experience, because it was a capital murder case. But I think that they screwed up the prosecutors too with their charges. The jurors didn't have any choices.
Yeah.
They couldn't find her guilty of the first degree murder, so it was like, what other choice do we have? So that I think that was a mistake on their part.
I mean, how do you not like how not reporting her, like your child missing, how does she not get charged with that? Child neglect, child
Yeah.
abandonment. I mean, there should just have been a plethora of charges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, not just murder one. It should have been
No.
Yeah. Everything.
They dropped the
everything
ball.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And someone had an interesting question in chat. I can't remember who it was, but they said, I wonder if she helped Jose come up with that defense,
I saw
or if, you know, that
He
came
came up
straight
with
from
it.
him. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that. That was a good question.
Poopy ass Roberter said, beefy potato pigeon pings. That's a tongue twister. That's funny.
The disappearance of Kaylee Anthony are a lie. This statement is single-spaced, 4 pages, and during the course of this trial, you have the opportunity to review it, and you will see that it's 4 pages of lies. The patrol supervisors at the scene of the Anthonys that morning, July 16th now, 2008, decided that they needed to call a detective out to the house to follow up in this investigation, to tell the detective what their findings were, at least preliminarily. While they're waiting for the arrival of the detective, the sergeant on the scene, Reginald Hosey, took Casey Anthony on a short walk. There's a cul-de-sac that is 2 or 3 houses down from her residence, and asked her, is this a domestic situation? Is it just a matter of you don't want your mom to have access to your child? And Detective Hosey is left with the impression from Casey Anthony that night that this is no big deal. And that her child is fine. At 4 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday, July 16th, Detective Yuri Melich, the Orange County Sheriff's Office, first arrives at the Anthony house.
We could see you flipping around.
Where he reviews that handwritten statement of Casey Anthony, and he asked to speak.
I just got busted with my ADHD ass. Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to block your guys' view. I'm like, what's this?
I was like, what is she
I ended up not listening. I was just watching you flipping from side to side.
Same.
That totally distracted me.
I was like, what is she doing?
I don't
There
even
was
know
this-
what she said because I was just watching you.
Yeah, like, wait, can we go back?
How embarrassing.
Got my ADD brain as well.
There's this hot pink button and it says new. So I clicked on it. It says mirror your screen. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that does. I just like I'm sitting here by myself. Jesus. Sorry.
You had the whole screen blocked. I was like, what is she doing?
I looked up and I saw my big mug on the screen. Like, oh my God, what am I doing? Oh, Lord. All right, I'm going to speed this up just a touch because it is slow.
With her, she talks with him in a room in the house.
I think that's still good.
He ultimately tape records their conversation.
Yeah,
And he says, is this true? Do you want to change anything on this statement? And Casey Anthony says, no, sir, no way. This is what happened. I'm telling you the truth. One of the things that she had relayed to the Orange County Sheriff's Office was that she had a phone, another phone, that was lost at Universal Studios where she worked, that there were people who were employees of Universal Studios who she had told about this situation. Detective Melich again asked if Casey Anthony could take him to the location where she says she last saw her daughter at the Sawgrass Apartments, and she takes him right back to that same place where she took the patrol officers. He asked if there are other people related to this Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez that he could contact in an effort to locate Kaylee Anthony. She takes him in the area of another residence, supposedly of Zenaida Gonzalez's mother. No one is contacted, nobody is found. They return to the Hope Spring house with no Kaylee.
Dude, the audience is divided
Casey
down the
Anthony
middle.
knows
Wow, look at
her
that
house.
split.
And Yuri Melich
That's crazy.
begins his investigation. And that investigation begins at Universal Studios.
Oh, loud.
Yuri Melich contacts a employee of Universal Studios by the name of Leonard Tutura in an effort to determine where Casey Anthony works, where these other people that she said can be contacted work, how they can be contacted. And Detective Melich learns Casey Anthony doesn't work at Universal Studios.
Casey Anthony
Casey
don't
Anthony
work.
hasn't worked at Universal Studios for years. These people that she told you were here, they don't work here. So Detective Melich, with the assistance of his supervisor, Sergeant John Allen, and another detective by the name of Abby Wells, made contact with Casey. The first contact is made by Detective Melich over the phone, where he calls Casey Anthony and says, "You work at Universal Studios, and this is the information," verifying what she had told him before. She's like, "Yes, absolutely, of course. Yes, you're right. That's it." He knows it's a lie.
Yeah, they already knew before they went there, right? The investigators.
Maybe they all have it wrong.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I mean, you have to
Casey
be a
comes out to
total
Universal Studios. We can clear this all up.
mastermind
Maybe we're
to
not
lie
getting the
about your
names
life
right.
for 2 years.
Do what?
Cindy Anthony goes,
You have to be a total mastermind to lie about your life for 2 years.
And being so convincing about it as well, and having all these fake people.
Nobody had a clue.
Nobody
and
was
remembering all the
questioning.
different people's names.
That's what scares me about her is that she actually did all this and like kept it to herself.
Yeah. Like
Like-
was good at it.
Yeah. I mean, like she didn't confide in a girlfriend or nothing. Like she just did this and kept it completely to herself.
Friggin'
No one has
scary.
any idea.
I mean, I guess her mom like thought that she was paying the babysitter because she worked at Universal, but her mom had to have known otherwise. I mean, stealing checks from your grandmother.
To pay your cell phone bill? I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're not working at Universal. And then like all these meetings, like what did Cindy think
but
that
that's-
she was some executive?
But that
The
all
bitch would have
just
been
came
lucky
out
if she got a
recently,
Shrek
though.
costume to put on. I mean, and she's like, "Oh, we're going out of town for meetings, and I have a night meeting." Like, how naive would you have to be to believe that? I'd be like, "What? Like, what
But
kind
I
of
think
meeting?"
if she was scamming and stealing and was getting money from other places, her mom was none the wiser.
I know,
until
but her
she
mom
got caught stealing from her grandma, and that's when I think it all came to a head.
Yeah, right at the
When I
very
think
end.
she couldn't lie anymore.
So, in other words, instead of working, she was leaving Kaylee with her mom so she could go hang out with her friends and
Yep.
live her 20-something
Yeah.
life.
Yep.
Yep.
That's exactly what
I mean,
she was
if you
doing.
see her bedroom, she had the best bedroom ever. They had everything in there for that little girl. Like, you could tell they were her life.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. Cindy and George love that little girl. No doubt about that.
That's why
You also
mom-
have to wonder as well, like where she was going with Kaylee every day for 2 years, because Cindy was working. She worked 8 till 5,
So she wasn't leaving her with Cindy.
so she wasn't leaving her.
So was she dragging her around with her?
Yeah,
Well, I
to where?
mean, that Tony said he was with her since she was pregnant, that she would come to his apartment and stuff. And then probably just friends and whoever would just watch her.
I think maybe she drugged her before and it worked out just fine for her.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think too. She
Mhm.
was doing it multiple times.
Yeah, this wasn't the first time. There's
Yeah.
no way, not 2 years.
No.
I mean, I could see if her mom had the baby 24/7 and she was out running around saying she was at work, but not dragging that child around for 2 years.
No.
Because she was only 3, so she would have been 1 year old.
Yeah.
See, when they're 1, they sleep a lot.
Mhm.
They start to get 3, man. They don't want naps anymore. That's when you can't do shit.
No, and
I am here to
you get nail
attest.
polish, and yeah, I know.
They end up with
That's why I
nail
was
polish
laughing.
head to toe. I mean, it's a mess. So I can attest to that. There is no way she was going to do anything with that child awake.
Yeah,
Nope.
it was getting too hard for her.
Yeah. Poor
Mhm.
Kaylee.
Yeah, and she was
know-
like literally the cutest.
Oh,
she
she
really
was,
was. Big eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's so sad. It's like all she had to do was like get past her own stubborn self, given Kaylee to her mom, and then
Yep.
went on about her Bella Vita.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and now she
Yeah.
covered that tattoo.
Did she?
She
Yes.
covered it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's not out looking for her daughter's killer.
Nope.
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 Even though she works for a private investigator
Yeah.
on
She's
other
not even
cases,
trying.
but not
Yeah.
her own.
Right? That's crazy. Ironic.
That's what I'm saying. She has all the means, and just that's what I'm saying. Like but the law enforcement too. How do you just give up and don't look for answers?
Yeah, because technically it's still unsolved. Like they don't have someone.
Yeah.
No one was convicted for a murder.
No. That's what I'm so confused about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They don't work here. So Detective Mellish, with the assistance of his supervisor, Sergeant John Allen, and another detective by the name of Abby Wells, made contact with Casey. The first contact is made by Detective Mellish over the phone.
Did she say Happy Wells?
He calls Casey Anthony and says, "You work at Universal Studios, and this is the information," verifying what she had told him before. She's like, "Yes, absolutely, of course. Yes, you're right. That's it." He knows it's a lie. Maybe they all have it wrong. Maybe if Casey comes out to Universal Studios, we can clear this all up. Maybe we're not getting the names right. Maybe I wrote it down wrong. And she is contacted and agrees to come out to Universal Studios. So Detective Mellish is there with Leonard Tutora, and John Allen and Abby Wells go to the Anthony house, pick up Casey Anthony, and she accompanies them to Universal Studios. She directs them where to park, just has idle chit-chat with them on the way, and they get to the security gate at Universal Studios, and she's denied access. They're suggesting she doesn't work here. They ask her for her identification. She tells them, "I forgot it. I don't have it." Leonard Tutora, who's there with Yuri Melich, allows them to come in anyway. And there, Casey Anthony is supposed to show them the office where she works and where she lost her phone, or where there might be some information about Zenaida Gonzalez. And you will hear testimony that Casey Anthony walks with purpose through that security gate and heads towards an administration building, walks in, and true to what we've seen, or you will see during this case, is at the end of the hall. And she puts her hands in her back pocket and smiles. "All right, I don't work here."
Did you see her
Detective
shake?
Allen.
Yeah, shake her head
Wait.
like as if
Wait a minute. She literally shook her head.
head because she said, "You don't work here." I don't work here.
Right.
Like she was pissed off at her own self. Like, damn it, they caught me.
She really
Shake my head.
was. What an
Yeah.
idiot! I just cracked up when I seen her shake her. Let's watch that again. She.
And she puts her hands in her back pocket and
She's mad at
smiles.
herself.
All right, that'll work here.
Oh shit.
Detectives Allen, Wells, and Mellich then speak with Casey Anthony on tape in the conference room at Universal Studios, where she admits to them that she's been lying to them about working at Universal. Because that's the lie the evidence will show they caught her in. But she will not waver at that point from her story about the nail. So in an effort to find this person she insists exists, the detectives take her from Universal and show her pictures in the driver's license database of individuals with the name Zenaida Gonzalez. She doesn't know any of them.
That
None of
is
these
not
Zenaida
us.
Gonzalez's on your driver's license pictures are my Zenaida Gonzalez.
Someone said she looks like a rat.
At this point, since Casey Anthony admitted
She is a
to them
rat.
that she lied during
Have
the
to
process
agree.
of this investigation, she was arrested. And at this point, the investigation, by necessity, takes two different paths. There is the investigation that continued into attempting to locate this person that Casey Anthony insisted had her daughter, this Zenaida Gonzalez. There were tips and phone calls and sightings of Kaylee Anthony all across the country, on airplanes, in gas stations,
Oh my God.
all over the place.
It was Brian Laundrie all over again.
Tips that were followed up by members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, local police agencies in different states.
It really was.
No.
What a waste.
Kaylee Anthony. And no Zenaida Gonzalez. That night, July 16th of 2008, with the permission of George and Cindy Anthony, the Orange County Sheriff's Office seized Casey Anthony's white Pontiac Sunfire. And you will hear testimony from crime scene technicians and ultimately the individuals who evaluated and analyzed evidence taken from that truck during the course of this trial. You will also hear that the trash bag that Simon Birch had thrown out of the car the day before, when George Anthony picked up the Sunfire at the Johnson Wrecker, was located in the dumpster when George Anthony went with a missing persons civilian investigator to find it. Was there something in that garbage that would help the Orange County Sheriff's Office find his granddaughter? George Anthony wanted to know. On Thursday, July 17th, the Orange County Sheriff's Office had one of their cadaver dogs, which you will hear during the course of this trial is a dog that is specially trained in detecting the scent of human remains, do a sweep around the car. Deputy Jason Forgy, who has many years of experience in handling police canines and who has worked with his dog Garrus prior to Garrus's recent retirement for a long period of time, took the dog around the car at which point Garris alerted. Give a trained final alert, which will be explained to you, on the trunk of the car as having the odor of human remains.
He's like, oh, I can't wait for my turn.
Later that day, Garris was taken to the Anthony residence, where, again, George and Cindy Anthony had given permission to the members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office to look in their yard to see if there was any evidence that would help them learn what happened to Kaylee. Where was Kaylee? And then again, in the backyard, near Kaylee's playhouse, Garris alerted to the odor of human decomposition. Deputy Forgy had asked that another canine handler, this one from the Osceola County Sheriff's Office, Kristen Brewer, Sergeant Brewer, brought her cadaver dog to the Anthony home. And her cadaver dog also alerted to the odor of human decomposition near the playhouse in the Anthony's backyard. Now you hear that crime scene technicians dug up in the areas where the dogs alerted, did not find Kaylee. Evidence from the car was also preserved: hair, air samples, samples from the carpet lining the trunk, samples from the spare tire cover were cut and collected in tin cans by members of the Orange County Sheriff's Office. Samples of Casey Anthony's DNA, Lee Anthony's DNA, Cindy and George Anthony's DNA, and a hairbrush that was used by Kaylee to get a sample of her DNA was obtained. The hair and other debris collected from Casey Anthony's Pontiac Sunfire was sent to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's laboratory in Quantico, Virginia. And you will hear that the evidence and testimony in this case establishes that forensic science has discovered that there is a distinctive band of discoloration that occurs at the root end of a hair under very specific and unique circumstances. According to these scientific studies, you will hear this artifact occurs only and has only been seen in hairs taken from decomposing human bodies. Of the many hairs that were found in the trunk of the Sunfire, one hair exhibited the classic characteristics I just described. This supports the prior investigative findings, not only as it relates to the alerts by the trained cadaver dogs, also the ability of those people who have smelled a dead body before to know what it is. These findings led to the inescapable conclusion that, in fact, a dead body had been in the trunk of Casey Anthony's car. And you will learn that the FBI compared the hair that I just described to hair collected from Kaylee Anthony's hairbrush through the use of mitochondrial DNA, which will be explained during the course of the trial, as well as microscopic analysis, and determined through the unique characteristics of the hair that they were indistinguishable from those of Kaylee Anthony. The testimony in this case regarding the analysis of this hair will convince you that it was the hair of Kaylee Marie Anthony that was found in that trunk. Nevertheless, in order to further establish the nature of the odor emanating from Casey Anthony's trunk at that point, the Orange County Sheriff's Office contacted an individual who is the leading expert in the field of the biochemistry of the odor of human decomposition. That individual, Arpad Voss, Dr. Arpad Voss, will be testifying for you during this trial. And in 20 years of studying the chemistry of the odor of decomposition, he has spent the last 10 concentrating on identifying the chemical composition of the very distinctive odor of decomposition, of human decomposition. Dr. Voss will tell you that when he opened this can that was collected by the Orange County Sheriff's Office that contained samples of the spare tire cover in the trunk of Casey Anthony's car, he immediately recognized the unmistakable odor of human decomposition. Now you will learn that his research and others' research into this area is ongoing. And he will tell you about the instrumental analysis that he performed on the odor from the substance from this piece of spare tire cover taken from the trunk of Casey Anthony's car. What you will learn is that these compounds are consistent with a decompositional event occurring in the trunk of the car, possibly of human origin. But Dr. Voss will also tell you that during his analysis of those pieces of spare tire cover, that he found something unexpected. His instrumental analysis found the highest concentration of chloroform that he's ever seen. And while he will tell you that small amounts of chloroform have been found in human decomposition under specific circumstances, his analysis of the evidence in this case showed a concentration of chloroform thousands of times greater than he had seen produced by human decomposition.
Okay, so the chloroform is a natural thing in decomp? I didn't know that.
Yes, but small amounts, not thousands, not tens.
Not the amounts that they found.
Right.
Okay.
Just like alcohol as well when you die.
Right.
Yeah, we saw that with Shanann.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we sure did.
Yep.
We sure did. All right, I just wondered about that because I never heard that before.
Yep.
Well, didn't Cindy say in her testimony too? Doesn't she say that she was searching it up because her dogs were eating plants outside? Her Yorkies.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
The
she was
amount
at
that
work.
Yeah.
it simply cannot be accounted for by human decomposition alone. You also hear that different sections of this same spare tire cover, the samples from it were sent to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Crime Laboratory, and they independently confirmed through separate analysis the presence of chloroform. Upon receipt of this information, the Orange County Sheriff's Office detectives contacted the forensic computer analysts with their agency. You will learn that of the items collected from the Anthony household, one was a desktop computer. The hard drive from that desktop computer had been in the possession of the Orange County Sheriff's Office since July 16th or 17th of 2008. And when this information was passed along to these examiners, based on Dr. Voss's findings, which occurred at the end of August or beginning of September of 2008, the computer analysts were asked to perform a keyword search of the hard drive of that desktop computer for the word chloroform. And you will hear, in this case, testimony from Sandra Osborne, who is a forensic computer examiner, that her analysis of the computer revealed searches on March 17th and March 21st of 2008. What you will hear is that internet searches were conducted by a user in the Anthony home using Google. You will hear that on Monday, March 17th of 2008, between 1:43 and 1:55 in the afternoon, Google searches were done on that computer for the words chloroform, alcohol, acetone, and peroxide. You will hear that on Friday, March 21st, 2008, between the hours of 2:16 and 2:28 p.m., Google searches were conducted for, quote, how to make chloroform, quote, how to make chloroform with a different spelling, quote, self-defense, quote, household weapons, quote, neck breaking, quote, shovel. In addition to those Google searches, there were Wikipedia searches conducted on March 17, 2008, between the hours of 1:53 and 1:58 p.m. for the words inhalation, chloroform, alcohol, acetone, peroxide, hydrogen peroxide, and death. On Friday, March 21st, 2008, between 2:16 and 2:28 p.m., a Wikipedia search was done for the word shovel. Also on that date, there were searches using websites blogspot.com, scipot.com, druglibrary.org, instructables.com for these words, quote, making weapons out of household products, quote, chloroform habit, quote, chloroform, quote, how to make chloroform, and quote, chloro 2. You will learn that Cindy Anthony was working on those days and at those times. You will learn on March 21st, George Anthony was working on those days and at those times. And you will learn from the forensic computer examiners that the context, searches surrounding before and after these searches were done on that on that desktop computer at the Anthony home, reveal that there could have been no other user making those searches than Casey Anthony.
She's shaking her head again.
Yeah, every time she
Here,
disagrees.
despite the mounting
She
evidence
disagrees.
that made it more and more obvious as we got into September of 2008 that Kaylee Anthony was dead, that the Orange County Sheriff's Office and many thousands of private citizens continued to search for her. These search efforts, you will hear, in many areas were hampered by the passage of time and standing water that was created by Tropical Storm Faye in late August of 2008. Many additional attempts were made to locate this Zenaida Fernandez Gonzalez. She's never been seen. George and Cindy Anthony held out hope that their precious granddaughter would be found alive. However, on a rainy Thursday morning, December 11, 2008, the Orange County Sheriff's Office received a call from a dispatcher at Orange County Utilities. The Sheriff's Office at that time was informed that a tiny human skull had been found in the woods off of Suburban Drive. This was in walking distance of Kaylee's home and within sight of the elementary school where she would be at this very moment if she were alive.
Do you see how she starts breathing heavier and heavier?
Examination of that scene revealed that the body of Kaylee Marie Anthony had been wrapped in a Winnie the Pooh blanket, stuffed into multiple garbage bags, shoved into a laundry bag, and thrown into a littered swamp like she was just another piece of trash.
Shaking her head
Forensic
again.
anthropologist will describe to you that all that remained of Kaylee Anthony were her scattered bones, remnants of the clothes that she was wearing, and pieces of the plastic bags that had entombed her.
I'm sorry, I would be
10
hysterical
days.
right now.
Crime scene personnel from the Orange County Sheriff's Office, the
Jay, can you
Florida
pause for a
Department of
minute?
Law Enforcement, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation painstakingly worked on their hands and knees.
So to go off what Mal was just saying, I don't understand how you are not bawling your eyes out listening to this, listening to where your daughter was found, listening to how she was found. How are you not upset?
Right.
Instead, you just look angry at, like,
She got a little
that you're
uncomfortable.
busted.
She shifted. She shifted a bit when they started talking about her being put in the bag and stuff.
Mm-hmm. But she started taking deeper and deeper breaths as they were starting to get closer. She shifted in her seat, and but did you notice?
But it's all about her.
Always,
it's what makes her uncomfortable.
Yep.
It's making her angry that they're
That's
saying what she did.
Angry.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And she's angry that she's sitting in that seat, that she got caught.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, like, when she, like, shakes her head like that, it's like, damn it, like, that's where I fucked up. You know, kind of like
yeah, if you notice,
regret.
because she never does that when they're talking, other than just parts of her doing something.
Yes.
Then it's she shakes her nose. I mean, her head.
Her nose. She's
When
like,
she's like a little witch.
yeah, like bewitched.
Like her guilt. That's her guilt to shake.
Yeah.
I know, I can't with her.
She's not a grieving mother. She's just pissed that she has to be in that seat.
Definitely not. I don't think she has the capacity to have those kind of emotions.
I mean, even just listening for us, we're like mortified. If that was my grandchild or my child, I would be like unconsolable. I could not just sit there with this stoic bitch face. I would be like just hysterically crying. Even if it was an accident or you think something else, how do you still not have emotion?
But even years afterwards, though, like she doesn't have those emotions. Like she said that she sleeps pretty good at night. I mean, how can you say that? Like your child is gone.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, she's obviously come to terms with what she did
Yeah,
with herself, you know. Right, Lisa Lee. She shakes her head like they're not saying the story right. Like that's not what happened.
Yep. That's what I'm saying. Like they're wrong. This isn't how it happened, but this is right.
Yeah, she's disgusting.
Sifting, digging, resifting, collecting evidence, and collecting the remains of Kaylee Anthony to make certain that she would no longer suffer the indignity of lying in a wooded swamp.
The rocking, self-soothing.
The evidence by its very appearance, and you will see.
Oh, another thing I wanted to say, that if they had that, the tropical storm came in August, so that would mean that it probably wasn't flooded then in June when she was dumped.
Correct. Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So if it wasn't, then she borrowed the shovel. She obviously didn't use it because, I mean, if she did, she didn't bury her very deep. But did she get spooked by like a vehicle or something?
That's what I think.
But when she took the shovel, she didn't leave the area either. So I don't think she used the shovel at all. I think she just chucked her in there.
And she could have used the shovel to like flip her out, flip her over. And when she brought the shovel back, maybe that's why the dogs hit on it in the yard, because she was putting it back in the shed.
The shovel was from the neighbors, though.
But did she return it to the neighbors? Then why did they hit in the backyard?
She returned it after an hour.
Well, the dogs picked up on something. I think that's why someone in chat said, I think she was in that shed.
Yeah, so they did pick up a scent between the playhouse and the sandpit.
Yeah.
And Casey was in that shed a lot, so.
Maybe she tried putting her in the sand pit somewhere over there first and was like, oh, the ground's too hard, and was like, I'm out.
Well,
yeah, that could have been the first place she thought of, and then changed her mind.
And that was where Jose played off of the drowning.
Yeah.
Was the scent in the backyard.
Yeah.
Hundreds of the thousands of photographs taken in this case. And by its very appearance, you will be able to conclude that Kaylee spent many months in that swamp. Roots encircled the blanket, grew through the blanket. They encircled her hair. They wrapped themselves into the bags that she was in.
God. It's horrible.
As you have seen in the photograph taken at the scene on December 11th of 2008, duct tape covered the nose and mouth area of that tiny human skull. The cotton and polyester backing of that duct tape was disintegrating in the harsh environment in which
Look at her rocking.
You will learn
That's what I said.
three
She's rocking
pieces
self-soothing.
of overlapping duct tape covered the nose and mouth of Kaylee Anthony. You will learn that the duct tape was placed on her prior to decomposition as it held the mandible or the jaw to the head. You will learn that the duct tape was stuck in the hair, indicating that Kaylee's killer never intended that it be removed. You will learn that the brand and style of the duct tape are distinctive and not widely available. You will learn that the Orange County Sheriff's Office executed a search warrant on the Anthony residence late in the evening of December 11th of 2008 and discovered that the gas cans that Casey Anthony took from her dad on June 23rd of 2008 had a piece of duct tape identical in appearance to the tape covering Kaylee's nose and mouth. You will learn that a chemist from the Federal Bureau of Investigation determined that the tape was manufactured at the same time using the same methods. You will learn that the duct tape, identical in appearance to that on Kaylee Anthony's face, was used at the end of July on a missing child poster of Kaylee Anthony. You will hear that the pieces of shirt that remained and the plastic logo that once appeared on that shirt, "Big Trouble Comes in Small Packages," were captured in photos of Kaylee and Casey Anthony taken in January and March of 2008. You will learn that Kaylee's Winnie the Pooh blanket was missing from her house. You will learn that a Whitney design laundry bag was located in the garage of the Anthony home, and the matching bag was missing from the house. You will learn that upon autopsy, there was no evidence of any trauma to Kaylee's bones. And you will learn that the only evidence indicating the cause of death of Kaylee Marie Anthony are the 3 pieces of duct tape covering her nose and mouth.
3 pieces.
Yeah.
The evidence in this case will establish that there is no other reason for the placement of multiple pieces of duct tape on this child's face, mouth, and nose other than the specific intent to end that child's life. As difficult as it may be for anyone to accept that a mother would intentionally kill her own child, from the evidence that you will hear in this case, there is no other conclusion that can be drawn. Kaylee Marie Anthony was not kidnapped by a nanny or any other person. No one but Casey Anthony had access to all the pieces of evidence in this case: the duct tape, the laundry bag, the blanket, the shorts, the shirt, the car. No one else lied to their friends, to their family, to investigators. No one else benefited from the death of Kaylee Marie Anthony. Kaylee's death allowed Casey Anthony to live the good life, at least for those 31 days. At the end of this case, you will have no trouble concluding that Kaylee Anthony was murdered by her mother, Casey Anthony. And at the conclusion of all of the evidence and argument in this case, we will be asking you to return a verdict that reflects the truth of what happened to Kaylee Anthony. And that is that Casey Anthony is guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree. Thank you all for your attention.
That's where they went wrong.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess a little early for lunch. We will return here at 1:10 to hear the opening statements from the defense. I'm going to ask you while you're at lunch not to read, watch, or listen to any news account.
Oh, I paused it on a good screen cap of him. Ah. All right, so what are we thinking so far, you guys? The ending, you said that was the mistake. Why? Why is that the mistake? Who said that? Maligator?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. I just play to you.
It's okay. You get a free pass.
Yes, because they went for first degree murder.
And didn't
what
give them
happened?
any options?
Oh, let's go over.
Nothing.
Yeah,
No, it
yeah.
was
No,
that
it's
or
not.
nothing.
It's not over. What are you talking
Oh,
about?
it went away on the screen for a minute. That's what I was talking about. Yeah,
No,
I
I'm saying
think
because they didn't give him any options.
yeah, I think that they just went hardcore with one thing, and that juror that even spoke out said that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't prove first degree murder.
Yeah. Yeah, or they couldn't prove who did it. Like obviously there
Yep,
was a body in
yep,
the car and stuff, but
yep,
they couldn't prove who actually committed the
yep.
crime.
Or how?
Yeah.
And premeditated. That's a big
Yep.
thing
Yeah.
with murder one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Covering the Palm Beaches.
I mean, their opening was very
And she
strong. It
drowned in her family's
really
swimming pool.
set a good tone, you would
Mm-hmm.
think, for the trial, but they just failed to execute.
But he came back full bore. I mean, and
Oh,
I
he
think it just
did.
got so sloppy in the middle with then pulling in her dad. And I know a lot of people believe there was SA. I don't. I don't believe that.
You don't.
No, and I think that he tried to commit you know what on live.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it was imagine your child accusing you of something like that and your granddaughter being dead and you just
Yeah, it would be devastating.
you can't go on from that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, her brother even said, like, because I just, like, when I was just researching him, that because she accused him of that, he'll never speak to her again.
Really?
That, yeah, he said never. They don't talk, none of them talk. Mm-mm.
I didn't
No.
know that.
Yeah, he said he will go to his grave. That he called her what did he call her? A selfish bitch.
He still doesn't talk to her like to this day.
No, he said he will go to his grave. That
Well, I couldn't
what?
imagine him ever being able to speak to her, though. I mean, she accused
Mm-hmm.
him of murder and of all that stuff with her as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Like
I
it was
can't
all
blame him.
pinned on him.
Yeah,
I know,
he
but
said it
her
was
mother does.
unforgivable. Well,
How's
her
that
mother
gotta
also
make him
lied
feel,
for her.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think he talks to them either.
Oh, you don't think Lee talks to his
No,
family?
he said no, and the thing I found, it said he does not talk to any of them, that he completely distanced himself from their lives after that.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
That it destroyed him.
That's really sad. But you know what? It's probably best for him.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not trying to be mean or anything, but I would have to say that family is pretty damn toxic.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Even
And I'm
now, I mean,
sure
Cindy
he's
still talks to Casey. I can't imagine how that makes George feel.
right. As I was saying, like, I can't imagine how that goes over in the house.
Mm-hmm.
The defenses, let's see here. Let me see how long this one is. I don't know how much time you guys have.
Mr. Baez, you may proceed.
Well, I think I'm going to go to bed, actually.
Okay.
I was gonna say,
I know it's the sun's about to come up there, Potato. We love
Yeah,
that you hang
exactly.
out.
I need to get a little bit of sleep.
Yes. Well, rest up, and I'll talk to you later. And thanks for coming up. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Always.
yes, good night, Potato.
Good
Have a
night,
good
everyone.
night, Potato.
Good night.
Good night. Are you guys down for going about halfway through the defense?
Sure. I
Yeah,
am.
I'm fine.
You guys
I'm
are like,
good.
yeah.
I'm good.
It's only
good till
10:30. I know
Steve-
you're like, it's
Steve kicks
9:30.
me out. It's 9:30. Once he wants to go to bed, he'll be like, get out.
All right, hold on a second. Let me get this up. I just started drinking a McCafe.
Oh my gosh, Jay.
I
Hey, I
know.
gotta stay up till 4 a.m. So.
I am my own worst enemy, though, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
But I
I
just
stay up all
love
night.
them, and it's just like, I don't know. All right, the only place I can find this is freaking Court TV, though, you guys.
Oh no.
Yeah, they've got to
What
have
is
it
it?
somewhere else. Court TV, and I really don't want to play it there.
No, I wouldn't.
I don't know where it's at. I couldn't find anywhere else.
What part are you looking for?
The
His?
defense.
It's not in our stuff?
Mm-mm. I thought it was, and I was looking, and it wasn't.
Are you sure?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It was just part one. And I wonder if the only place that has it is because I couldn't find it anywhere else. I can find news clips. Oh no. Yeah, part 1. That's all I can find. The fence is closing, but I can't find their opening.
Oh, you're right. It isn't in our stuff.
Isn't that weird? It's like that's the only one that people don't have. They have
Weird.
closing.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I really don't want to play court TV because people are all watching me and they're going to be like, I'm going to turn it
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So sorry, but we're going to have to skip forward. Huh. It's the way it is.
It is what it is.
I mean, it's fine. We know what the defense ends. I mean, we don't even know because he doesn't say it in opening. He drops the bomb during the trial.
Yes.
So it's not like he really even paints that whole picture.
Nope.
So,
His opening wasn't like a wow for me. I really thought they did a great opening, and then his opening I didn't think was a wow, but boy, he came back with a vengeance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a bomb.
It was like fire was lit under his ass.
It sure was.
Damn.
I'm going
He
to
did
put
a
the
great
link
job.
to this in, I'll put it in the description if
Yeah, that
anybody
way
wants to watch
they
that.
can go watch
But
it.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to risk it because people are all over me right now.
Yeah, no, don't.
They're all over me anyways. Even more so now. So,
No,
yes.
they can go watch it.
Let's move on to the next segment, which is going to be exciting, though, because it is going to be George. So, day 1. Let me open that Google Doc.
I will have to tell you, I watched Lee's the other day, and it was pretty boring. It was not.
Was it? It wasn't
Yeah.
like,
It wasn't like a bombshell or anything. He just got up there and was like, no, she didn't tell me where Kaylee was. And
yeah, just kind of blasé.
But I think
Yeah,
he gets called twice though, doesn't he?
oh, does he?
Yeah, I don't think he just goes up once. I don't know. I got
significant marital
pretty far
problems with
today, and
Cindy
I know
right now.
like there was several people that were being brought back up. So
Maybe. I was only watching prosecution, so maybe he gets called back with defense.
yeah, I think we made it to like day 14, 15.
Okay, so this is day 1. New clothing change for Miss Casey, but she's still wearing the bump. Remember what are those called?
Yeah, that. What is that called?
What were those called? The
I don't
can't
remember.
someone in chat will know for sure.
They were awful, though.
Oh, come on. Oh, shit. Someone in chat will remember that. Someone just said, ooh, George is so guilty.
And I don't think so.
I'm going to put up another poll.
Here's my thing. If George was guilty, right, he could have ended all of this when he attempted suicide, when he left the note and laid it all out, and he didn't. Why leave a note and do that, but not tell it all, right?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not so against the fact that there could have been essay. I don't think he killed Kaylee, but I think there could have been something else going on in that household. But I don't know that for sure. I mean, I'm just purely speculating. Purely.
I think that thing is called a bump it.
A bump it. That's it. It's a bump it. So
See,
Kaylee,
I remember it. Bump it, bump it, bump it.
Oh
okay,
my God.
we're gonna open up. Okay, here we go. We're gonna open up today's trial. This is day 1 of the Casey Anthony trial, where Casey is sporting a white cardigan and a bump it that makes her ears just stick out just like a little elf. So that is Kaylee's attire for the day.
She looks like a little lying troll.
Her other lawyer is wearing a shit brown power suit. I don't think you'd ever find Camille in shit brown showing up in court.
No.
But Jose looks dapper as ever. So
I do
shall
think Jose
we?
looks dapper.
Shall we continue?
Yes.
All right. Here we go with day 1. This is part 4. It's the wrong part. We got to go to day 1, part 4. Dum dums. Oh, this is day 2. You guys have me all freaking confused.
Why we have you confused? We have it all in order.
Why does it say day 1, part 4? Is that all we have? Part 4 of 4?
No.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
That
This
says
is still
1 of 2.
This is still day 1. So
Yeah.
okay. Well, Casey changed her cardigan because she wasn't wearing that the first day. I don't think.
You were having significant marital problems with Cindy, were you not?
Ooh. Okay. This sounds like it's gonna be juicy. Okay. Sorry about that confusion.
We're back
is in
to the shitty.
Yeah, she's in the same clothes. I was wrong.
And that's not Jose in the dapper.
And that's not Jose looking dapper. Okay. Rewind. Be kind and re-fucking wine because I don't know what I'm talking about. That's what I need, a new shirt that says Jay doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about.
Take some more sips of that McCafe.
All right. I'm going to now and I'm going to shut up. Jose.
Jury? Yes, sir. And the defense? Okay, Mr. Ashton, call your witness.
State called George Anthony.
Here comes Daddy.
George A. Anthony. First name is George, G-E-O-R-G-E, middle initial A, last name is A-N-T-H-O-N-Y. What's my name?
Thank you. Would you just please start by stating your name for the record?
George A. Anthony.
Mr. Anthony, are you the father of Casey Anthony, the defendant in this case?
Unfortunately.
Yes.
And are you the grandfather of Kaylee Anthony, the victim in this case?
Yes.
Would you please tell us, first of all, where are you from originally?
Originally from the Warren, Ohio area, which is the northeast section of Ohio.
And is that where you grew up?
Yes.
Now, earlier in your career, were you employed as a law enforcement officer?
Yes, I was.
About what age did you begin your career in law enforcement?
Right about 23, and I left right about the age of 32.
During your time as a law enforcement officer, did you meet a young lady by the name of Cindy?
Yes, I did.
Where did you meet Cindy?
I met Cindy at a local hospital where my sister was being attended to.
And was she employed there?
Yes.
And how was she employed?
She was a pediatric nurse.
Did you come to develop a relationship with Cindy and eventually marry?
Yes.
And when did you marry?
In 1981.
And where did that occur?
Also in Warren, Ohio.
Now, at the time that you met Cindy, were you working as a law enforcement officer then?
Yes, sir, I was.
And in what capacity were you working when you two first met and began to see each other?
I was working as an undercover drug agent with the Sheriff's Department, where I was employed.
Damn.
In your time with the Sheriff's Office, could you just describe for us what different positions you held or responsibilities you had?
Well, I had a brief stint as considered an auxiliary officer. I was immediately asked to become a full-time officer, which I did. I was in 2 years road patrol. I advanced pretty quickly to become a detective, and I was working at different times in auto theft. I mean, it was a lot of different things, and homicide. I did a lot of different varied things as a detective.
How big an agency was the Sheriff's Department? Well, is it Warren, Ohio Sheriff's Department or?
It's called the Trumbull County Sheriff's Department.
Trumbull County Sheriff's Department. How big a Sheriff's Department is that?
At the time that I was employed there, we had a road patrol, or at least a full-size staff of about 110, maybe 112 sheriff deputies.
And how about the detective divisions? How many detectives did you all have?
Somewhere in the neighborhood about 10 to 12. It wasn't a real large agency, but I would say roughly about that.
So during your period as a detective, did you investigate a number of different kinds of crimes?
Right. I originally started out with, as far as, like it says, the auto theft and also like break-ins and things like that. But from time to time, you would be brought into other realms of investigation.
And occasionally even homicide cases, I think you just said.
That could happen from time to time, yes, depending on what was needed and the number of staff that had to be utilized.
Now, during your marriage, were you blessed with children?
Yes, fortunate enough to have 2 children with Cindy.
Okay. And the oldest, could you tell us the name and gender of that child?
My oldest is my son Lee. He is going to be 29 years old this year.
And what year was he born?
In 1982.
And how about your daughter?
Casey, which she's a female. She was born in 1986, and so now she's 25.
Now, did there come a time during the time you lived in Ohio when you got out of law enforcement and got into another line of work?
I got out of law enforcement for two reasons. My father had asked me to come back into a family-established car business. And after numerous incidents that occurred within the sheriff's department through being hurt on the job, different other things made me change my mind to get out of law enforcement and go back into a family business. That I know, number one, would be more stable. I would be able to provide more for my family.
Now, were you still working as a law enforcement officer when Casey was born, or did that happen during your second career?
You see. Casey was born after I had left the sheriff's department.
And you said you went into a family business. What type of family business was that?
My father started a automobile agency back in 1947, so he had been in the business for numerous years.
Did there come a point in time when, so you did go to work for your father then?
Yes.
Did there come a point in time when your father left the business or you left his business?
Well, my father was sort of in like a semi-retirement when I joined him in 1984, and shortly thereafter, we had some incidents that occurred between him and I. We decided to part ways, and I believe that was in 1987. I'm roughly thinking about that was probably the time.
And did you decide to basically go out on your own in that same type of business?
Right. I started to start my own automobile agency, a small used car dealership, and provide for my family, yes.
Now, when Casey was born, were you still working for your dad, or were you on your own at that point?
Casey had just been born, and it was like about a year after Casey had been born that I went out on my own, or I started another business.
Now, at some point, did you and your wife decide to leave Ohio, where you had grown and lived, and move to Florida?
Yes, we decided for a lot of reasons. When my parents had retired here in Florida, Cindy's parents also had retired in Florida, and through my job, but the company that I had established was suffering financially. Just a lot of different reasons came into play for us to decide, well, the children were young enough, why not go to Florida? I mean, that's somewhere where both sets of grandparents were at. Fresh start. Give us just another opportunity to start over.
Now, during your during your marriage, through the birth of your children, did your wife Cindy continue to work?
Cindy she started working part-time when Lee was first born to provide for him and be there for him. And she started working full-time, and I know she took some time off a little bit when Casey was born. And she still worked. I can't remember the exact many of hours she had been working during the week, something like that, but it wasn't a lot. She took time to help raise our children.
Now, about what were the ages of your children when you all moved to Florida?
Lee was just shy of being 7 years old, and Casey was just 3 years old.
When you got here to Florida, did Cindy go to work in her profession?
Pretty much immediately. She was hired by a orthopedic clinic in Winter Park, and it took me about 3 months before I was employed.
Had you considered going into law enforcement when you got to Florida?
I did go down to the Orlando Police Department and look into being hired by them, and because of having a law enforcement background, I thought it would be an easier chance for me to get reestablished and start having pretty much establish an income right away.
And did you decide not to pursue that?
Right after thinking about some of the drawbacks of law enforcement and how telling it can be, and it's a very hard line of work to adhere to every single day. It's very demanding.
All right. And was your wife part of that decision-making process?
All right.
Going back in?
I apologize. Yes, she didn't want me to go back in law enforcement because she's seen what could potentially happen. I mean, you could be going to work one day and not come home the next. It's a very tough position, very profession.
At some point, did you get into the private security field?
Yes, I was hired by the city of Orlando and started working at what was considered the Centroplex at the time, with the Orlando Arena, Bob Carr. What was that? And
in the years leading up to the events we're going to discuss, did you work in that field pretty consistently?
Pretty consistently. It's unfortunate that from time to time you lose a position or you have a chance to move on somewhere along and you make some decisions.
Okay, hold on. He worked for the city of Orlando?
That's what he just said.
And an employee of the city of Orlando found Casey? Or Kaylee, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah. The meter reader.
Yeah, he was an Orange, or maybe he was a county employee. Orange
County.
County.
He was county. Yeah.
County.
Okay, because I just had a little mini heart attack. I was like, wait a minute, they both worked for the city? Did they know each other at work? So this guy hasn't been a police officer since the 80s.
Right. I knew it was a reason, and I forgot about the family business.
Well, his business failed. He had so he had a falling out with dad. They parted ways. He started his own gig. It didn't work. Mm-hmm. So they moved to Florida. Cindy started working right away because she's a nurse. Mm-hmm. It took him 3 months to find a job. Mm-hmm. So I don't know why. I mean, he says it was too demanding to work in law enforcement in Orange County. So I don't know. I'm just piecing it all together here.
To go into another line of work or get back into something that you know. And yes, I did some more security work, yes, over the years.
And did Cindy continue to work in her nursing profession?
Yes, Cindy has been very fortunate. She's only had 2 positions of employment since we've been here all these years.
Now, did there come a point in time when you learned that your daughter was pregnant?
Yes, I did. I think it was like May or June of 2005.
How did you learn that she was pregnant?
My daughter and my wife set me down in our living room and said they had something to tell me.
Yikes.
And first hearing about it, extremely excited. Extremely excited to be a grandfather, to see my daughter be a mother, but also concerns about, how she's going to raise this child because she's a single mom. I never really thought too much about who the father could be. That was a discussion I wanted to have maybe a little bit later. I wanted my daughter first.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that when he was first told that he was so happy? Do you believe that?
How old was she?
I don't believe it for one bit, because the way he just said, my wife and Kaylee sat me down to tell me he wasn't happy.
Like they were like, oh crap.
Yeah, they knew
Yeah,
it wasn't going to be good.
He's going to be pissed.
How old was she?
22? But she was still on mama's tit. And he knew it. And he was like, oh, hell. Who's going to be raising this child?
Like Heather Brett says, Casey was spoiled her whole life, and Kaylee took her attention away.
Wait, George watched Kaylee? I keep mixing up their names. George watched Casey give birth?
Yeah, he was.
He watched it?
Yeah, he was there, and her brother was really upset they didn't even tell him. He wasn't allowed to come there.
What?
Mm-hmm. I remember him saying that in his testimony. I don't know.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
That's really weird.
He said he didn't even know about it. Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, that he was really hurt that they didn't tell him.
Okay. A dad watching his daughter actually give birth is weird.
I think he was in the room, but I thought it said he was behind like the thing. I don't know if he was like, looking up in the V land. But
she was only 19. Sure. She was only 19.
Yeah, I was gonna say I thought she was younger than that.
Yeah, it's
odd. Do you really believe that her mother does not know who the father is?
No. I think her mom knows.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and remember when we were digging and I said 3 guys that were possible fathers all died in the same year of a car accident? That's a little odd to me.
They all died the same way.
Yeah.
Same way.
Yeah.
Don't you think, though, that they could have had private DNA testing done after Kaylee was found? Well,
one of the mothers that thinks that when I read on her that she said her son did die in 2007, that he told his mother he was the father, and she requested to have a DNA and they told her no. And she doesn't have rights to do that.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I'll have to find that when we get to that part.
Maybe they already know who it is, and that's why they
told her no, though. Mm-hmm. Because she said if it is that she wanted to be a part of her life, and no, because he died,
Well, she can't. I mean, was this before or after?
He died in 2007. So, but she just said she wanted to know if it was she had some closure for herself to know that was her son's child. Then they denied her.
I think they probably know it's not him then.
Mm-hmm. But why not find out?
Because it sounds like a huge mess, and I'm sure these people are worried about being sued or bringing people into their realm. I wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like, peace out. She's gone.
Well, maybe that's why they didn't let her, because they know he was, and they don't want her to file suit.
Yeah, they don't want to deal with it. I don't blame them.
Yeah.
To be happy, to get through the pregnancy fine, to enjoy that special time of becoming a mother that I thought was very important.
Oh, come on.
Now, you kind of touched on this a little bit. At the time that you learned of the pregnancy, your daughter was not married at the time. As far as was she?
Yeah, Casey's never been married.
All At the time that you learned of the pregnancy, was she involved with someone where you would sort of assume that that person was the father?
Well, I really wasn't sure if Casey, I know Casey had dated at different times over the years, but I really wasn't sure about who she was maybe seeing on a more serious basis or anything like that. No, sir.
So, how did you and your wife begin to prepare for the arrival of a grandchild?
Oh, just doing everything we can to make Casey's life as easy as possible for our grandchild. Getting a chance to go to different times when she was going to be examined. Went through the ultrasound.
Did you go?
Oh, absolutely, I did. And when I got a chance to see that it was considered, I think it's called a pancake, I think it's the term, or something like that, of when you can see it's going to be a girl.
Okay.
Maybe that's not the proper terminology, but I was very excited. I mean, if having a grandson would have been terrific, but just knowing that she was going to be a mother and not be grandparents, it would, she could have 3 or 4 children.
Okay, yeah. Creep town, dude.
Yeah.
It was pancake. I've never heard of that terminal sound in my life.
Whoa.
I've never heard of that. I have 6
Alligator.
girls. I've never
Alligator,
heard of that.
me either. Me.
I'm horrified right now.
I've never
We
heard.
shouldn't be laughing, but that's just fucked up.
No, what the?
Sorry.
I mean, a stack of pancakes?
Like, what the heck?
What?
And when he said I went with her to get examined,
Right. What?
what?
Like, what are you doing, dude?
No, there's boundaries.
See, I told you there's some creep town dude shit going on here.
It's a little too closey close.
All right, so, people want me to be kind and rewind. Let's. Whoa. Carrie says I'm never eating pancakes.
I just saw that.
It's true. Like, I've never heard of that. Oh,
Holy hell.
yeah, I just
Oh,
choked on
man.
my own
I
spit.
know. Hot cakes has a whole new meaning.
Someone where you would sort of assume that that person was the father?
Well, I really wasn't sure if Casey, I know Casey had dated at different times over the years, but I really wasn't sure about who she was maybe seeing on a more serious basis or anything like that. No, sir.
So, how did you and your wife begin to prepare for the arrival of a grandchild?
Oh, just doing everything we can to make Casey's life as easy as possible for our grandchild. Getting a chance to go to different times when she was going to be examined. Went through the ultrasound.
Did you go?
Oh, absolutely, I did. And when I got a chance to see that it was considered, I think it's called a pancake, I think it's the term, or something like that, of when you can see it's going to be a girl.
Okay.
Maybe that's not the proper terminology, but I was very excited. I mean, if
It's not
having
proper.
a grandson would have been terrific, but just knowing that she was going to be a mother and not to be grandparents.
Maybe
it
not.
mattered. She could have 3 or 4 children at once. It would have been fine with me. I just was excited.
At the time that you learned of the pregnancy, was Casey living under your roof?
Casey has always lived with us, yes.
Now, was she in school at that time? The time you learned of the pregnancy? Or had she already finished high school?
She already had finished high school.
To your knowledge, at that point, was she working?
She was working for a company called Color Vision, which is a subcontractor for Universal Studios.
Was it your understanding that that was one of those companies that take your picture when you walk in the front door and then offer to sell it to you
Yes.
later, that kind of thing?
That's
All
where
right.
that lady's son works.
Wait.
So during your
Wait,
preparations for
you mean
this,
to tell me that these people believed that she had meetings in Jacksonville and shit because she took pictures when people walked into Universal?
I
the
think she
hell?
told them later she got like a higher up position.
For God's sakes.
But this is where the mom of that dad worked, was at Universal.
Dude,
That's
she's
where he was
literally
dating her.
standing at the entrance of Universal in knickers. Taking people's pictures. But her parents believe she's got these important executive meetings. Holy hell. And that was the beginning of Casey Anthony's photography career.
Yes.
We need to put her face on a picture of one of those photo people in knickers. Holy shit.
was there
my
any
God.
question among the three of you as to where Casey and your grandchild would live after she was born?
No, I mean, we opened up. She's always lived at home, and we thought that would be not thought, but we knew that having Kaylee with us, or knowing that our grandchild could live with us until Casey got more established, better on her own, possibly job promotion or whatever it might be, she would stay with us until the time she felt that she wanted to leave.
Now, you mentioned home. Where was home?
Home was 4937.
I have to pause.
We've lived since 19.
Chat is cracking me the fuck up right now. They just said Kim brings the syrup.
Rose! Rose!
Oh my God.
Oh
George
my
brings the
God.
pancakes. Kim Maple brings the syrup. Oh my God. Kim's syrup brings all the Anthony's to the yard.
Since when?
Since 1989.
89. And was that a house that you all purchased? Did you purchase it actually before you moved to Florida, or sort of early on?
Shell
Cindy
remember?
had came down to Florida to see her parents, and when we decided we were going to be moving down here because of my work at the time, and through
Shell
other-
remember whose nickname is Pancake. It's so fitting.
the area over, found a realtor, found the home, and what they say the rest is sort of history. That's the home we settled on.
And is this a home in which you raised your children and were intending to help raise Kaylee?
Oh, yes.
Could we show the witness State's Exhibit AN for identification? If you'll look at the screen for a moment. Do you recognize the photograph that we've identified as State's Exhibit AN for identification?
That is our home at Hope Spring Drive, 4937.
That's the one you described to us where your children were raised and
Yes.
where Kaylee was to be raised. This time, Your Honor, State will move into evidence State's Exhibit AN for identification.
What says the defense? There being no objections, it will be received in evidence as State's Exhibit numbered.
And may I publish, Your Honor?
You may publish.
Now, this during the time that you were assisting with the pregnancy and waiting for your grandchild to come around, did Casey continue to work?
Casey worked up until I think it might be in about at least 2 or 3 weeks prior to Kaylee being born. I might be off maybe a week or so, but at least it's in that short time period.
Tell us about Kaylee's birth.
Oh, Lord.
Here we go.
Where were you when you found out? I'll try and help you with this. Where were you when you found out that it was time?
We were, Cindy, Casey, and I were all at home. And Casey had been starting to become a little bit ill, or she was showing signs of possible labor. I mean, she was throwing up. You know, she had some other small issues that made us think, okay, maybe this is something that's going on. It's something we need to look into and get her some assistance. So we took her up to the hospital, and
Okay, wait a
in a few
minute.
short hours.
He's
we
weird
did-
because his wife was a pediatric nurse. Why is he explaining this so weird? Like, why was... I don't know. It seemed... I don't know. Never mind.
Doctor was called in, her pediatrician, and
You mean her obstetrician?
obstetrician. I'm sorry. Oh,
It's okay.
Obstetrician, yes. And the lady helped her bring Kaylee into the world.
Were you actually there in the delivery room, or did you have to wait outside?
Well, I was in the delivery room. I was in the delivery room for my own 2 children, but also being there for Kaylee, which was, to me, not only amazing, but also embarrassing to a point.
Sure.
And if I might say that there's sometimes in your life as a father, there's some things of your child you don't want to see again, growing up. But you know something, it's just an experience that it's just... What? It's hard to put into words just how elated you are and how happy you are to see your own child give birth to another child. It's just amazing.
And was the birth...
Hell
okay?
to the
Yikes.
no.
It was fine. I mean, there was a little complication here or there, but it wasn't anything that the doctor couldn't take care of, because the doctor was right there the whole time, and other nurses and things like that. So it was well taken care of.
Now,
He's
during the
acting
pregnancy,
very weird.
at some point, was the
that is
subject
not
broached about who
normal.
the
I'm
father
sorry.
of Kaylee was or was thought to be?
Like,
I can't
dads are
remember if
even
we exactly talked
uncomfortable
about it
watching that.
prior to just Kaylee
And-
being born or right after,
Right.
but
Of the
I know
baby.
that it was brought up because, I wanted to know, because I feel it takes 2 to make this child, and this father needs to be made aware of that he's going to be a father and who he could possibly be, and it'd be great to meet him and see what his obligation would be. And I felt wherever the fathers needs to have an obligation for birth of this child.
Did you have occasion then to meet the person that, at least at that point, was thought to be the father?
There was a name brought up that Casey believed could have been the father. All I remember is the last name was Baker, I believe, and that was about it. But if I can take another step forward,
Sure.
Casey also had been seeing another gentleman who had been employed at Universal Studios by the name of Jesse, that I got to understand and get to know that he could have also been the father. So he was, one of two guys possibly.
Now, when did you first meet Jesse?
I met Jesse for the very first time on the day that Kaylee was born. That had been August 9th.
How did that go?
Not very well, truthfully. I was elated to be there to see my daughter, to see my granddaughter, but Jesse did not make the best first impression with me.
All right. Now, after Kaylee was born, did she and Casey return to your home?
Yes, I think it could have been the second day or maybe third day. I think it was the second day.
And did Jesse become, at least initially, part of sort of the family group with Kaylee as an infant? Right.
Jesse, we pretty much opened up our arms to him and welcomed him and wanted to get to know him more. And just, if he was the father, I would just be happy to get a chance to know him and see what his dynamic was going to be as far as how he was going to take care of Kaylee in case, or at least help take care of them.
Did there come a point when it was learned through certain scientific testing that Jesse was in fact not the father of Kaylee?
Right. I'm not sure about how long after Casey and Kaylee had gotten home that Jesse went and got a paternity test done.
As Kaylee grew, what was your role in her upbringing in her life?
I'm just her grandfather. I probably acted sometimes maybe like as a father with her because I was around her every day or nearly every single day. And to me, that was pretty awesome to have not only my daughter there, but also to have my granddaughter to be around. That's just, on the scale of 1 to 10, you have to give that probably a 20 or better because it's double the excitement.
Now, what role did Cindy take in raising Kaylee?
Oh, just being a great grandmother. Helping any way she could, help babysit from time, or take care of Kaylee from time to time, same way as I did. Cindy did it more frequently than I did because of my work schedule, but to be a fantastic grandmother, help provide for Kaylee in any way that she could or I could.
As Kaylee began to...
Do you think that Casey's demeanor has changed with him being on the stand?
No, she seems about the same.
You think so? I feel like she's kind of looking to the side. I feel like when they just showed her, she was kind of looking to the side, almost like she was recalling things. I don't know. There's something there. I can just tell. I don't know what it is.
She's definitely not shaking her head or moving side to side as much.
No, and I just feel like she has she doesn't have that hard ass look on her face. She kind of has I don't know, just pay attention to it. She almost has more of a recollection.
I was getting a drink.
She has more of a recollection kind of look. I don't know. I'm really trying to keen in on their dynamics together.
To grow and be able to speak, did she have names for you and Cindy and other members of the family?
Well, Kaylee started calling me JoJo, and I know how probably JoJo came about because my daughter Casey used to call me Papa Joe, and that happened to be through another friend of hers that we just became very close with over the years. But JoJo was just probably easy for Kaylee to say better than Grandpa, or grandfather or something.
So you were JoJo.
I was JoJo.
How about Cindy? How did Casey?
Cindy became Cece, or possibly Grammy sometimes, but mostly it was Cece.
Now, taking us now up into 2008, the winter, spring, early months of 2008. Tell us how Kaylee had developed. In other words, what could she do? How advanced was she physically, mentally, etc.?
Well, not only I'm just a bragging grandfather.
Sure.
But
we'll take it with a grain of salt.
But she was a very vocal child. She could put a lot of words together. She could. We have a remote on our TV. She learns how to do that. There was another little button she could push on the TV to get it to change channels, which I thought was amazing. She could turn on a VCR, put her own DVDs in. Oh my gosh, she knew to go inside of our pantry area and get the plastic jar of peanut butter. We had the small one, and go get herself a spoon, have her come over and ask you to open it up so she could have a spoonful of peanut butter. Puzzles to go together, the way she would bring crayons to you to color every day and make Play-Doh little things for herself. You name it, she could do it. And I knew from working with her or from us doing things with her, she was a very bright child. You would sing a song with her once, she could sing it next time with you, which to me was just amazing.
So in terms of physical dexterity, she was able to open drawers, open doors, things of that sort.
Oh, right. There would be no thing that she couldn't accomplish. I mean, we've seen that. We put the proper security plastic knobs on doorknobs and stuff like that because, yeah, she could open things up for her age. She was really something.
Now, in the early summer, late spring, early summer.
I can't help but think of like Casey being, sleeping all morning and like that little girl like bringing her peanut butter and a spoon or some shit. Because like what 3-year-old knows to do all that?
I mean, my grandson does a lot of that.
I think that's a weird thing for a 3-year-old to do. I mean, I have a 3-year-old granddaughter. She does a ton, but she definitely doesn't get spoons out of the drawer and bring peanut butter to me. I think that, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I just think that's a weird thing for him to bring up when you're asked, what can this child do? And that's one of them.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was odd. I think this guy's weird. I'm creep town dude with this guy. And I never felt creep town dude with him before, and I do now.
Well, I did after the pancake.
Yeah, he's weird.
I hope. Oh, Mr. and Mrs. Cher are listening from bed. I hope they're not eating pancakes and sausage.
Really?
Hey, what's wrong with pancakes and sausage?
Maybe they're playing with peanut butter and syrup. I mean,
oh my god! A spoon and peanut butter. Yikes, Ashley.
2008. Did you believe that your daughter was employed?
That's a sort of a two-part answer for me.
Sure.
Yes and no.
Okay. Explain that for us, will you?
I always wanted to give my daughter the benefit of the doubt of working and providing for her own daughter because she was a single mom. But at different times, and I would question about her money or things like that, how she was providing for Kaylee.
Okay, let me stop you for a second because I don't want to go too far afield of this. But what was it that she told you about her employment, let's say in May and June of 2008? What was it that she told you?
Well, that she was still employed by Color Vision. She was moving on as an event planner, I believe, through Universal Studios at the time. But also she was starting to work a part-time job at Sports Authority, not too far away from our home.
Sports Authority. Now,
as far as the
girls all
Universal
over the place.
Studios job, did you believe that she was actually working there in May and June of 2008?
I was wanting to believe that she was working there, yes, because, she still had a Universal ID. Every time I would be talking to her and asking her prior to me going to work, are you going to work today? Yeah, I've got something going on at Universal. I'm doing this event planning and things like that. So, yeah, I was believing and hoping that she was... Are you
tired of flat, boring...
Did she have a routine reflective of someone going to work?
Pretty much so. I know she worked a lot more like a early afternoon to an early evening type shift. You just went at 1 or 2 o'clock and may not come home until like 8 or 10 o'clock at night. It could vary. I know...
Casey next to that lawyer, she has the smooth bump it.
Just during that particular event that you're scheduled for, which could be 4 or 6 hours long. So I just took it as she was there for that period of time, yes.
What did she tell you? Well, at this point in time, let's say May and June of 2008, was Cindy working with your wife?
Yes.
What was her work schedule?
Cindy was Monday through Friday. She could be leaving the house anytime between 7:30, 8 o'clock, and she would work till 5, sometimes 6 o'clock in the evening. Could be a little bit later, but generally that was her general work schedule, Monday through Friday.
How about you during that same period of time? What was your work schedule?
I was working an afternoon shift. I was working 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. Some people call it a second shift or an afternoon shift. I was working in security for a company out of Altamont Springs.
And were you working the same Monday through Friday schedule as Cindy or different?
No, I worked Sunday through Thursday. I was off on Fridays and Saturdays.
Now, during the periods of time when Casey, you believed, was at work, and you and Cindy were both at work, did she indicate to you who was watching Kaylee?
Well, there was a name that was brought up, and I don't think it was maybe a year prior to all this stuff occurring from us. I think it was probably just shortly after the first of the year that I can basically remember. A girl by the name of Zanny's name was brought into it, or I guess the name came out later on as Zenaida. But that's what I was told. So this lady was taking care of Kaylee's, his name was Zanny.
She was a babysitter when you and Cindy were not available.
Yes.
So what the hell was she doing with this kid?
Now, I want to direct your attention,
Whoops.
to June the 16th. Well, before I do that, could we
Hold
have
on.
State's
I'll get it
Exhibit
back,
A,
you guys.
Unpublished first. Do we have State's Exhibit A for the monitor for the witness? You recognize that picture?
That's Kaylee. That's my granddaughter, Kaylee.
This time, Your Honor, move into evidence State's Exhibit A for that.
What's that defense? There being no objection, it be received in evidence as states numbered.
And I've published it to the jury. Do you know approximately when this was taken in terms of its proximity to the last time that you saw her?
This would have to be probably the early part of 2008. I'm just going to guess somewhere in that January to
Oh, she's so
March,
cute.
April time. I'm just taking a wild guess. Probably in the first quarter of 2008.
Does this fairly and accurately depict her appearance the last time you saw her in terms of general appearance and hair and all those kinds of things?
Generally, yes, it does. I mean, she could have her hair back. Sometimes she could have glasses on. This is definitely Kaylee.
Now, take us to the morning of the 16th of June of 2008. It was a Monday morning. Tell us how that morning began for you.
With me waking up probably about the time that my wife had just left for work or going to work. Me getting up and having my normal cup of coffee. Just starting my day off a little bit early like I generally have. And having Kaylee come out and be able to spend some time with her.
Was that a normal course of events for you to have some morning time with Kaylee?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there would be times that after she'd be in Casey's room with her, she would come out and I'd take her first thing is to make sure that she would freshen herself up, brush her teeth, go use the facility around that she needed to do because she was starting to do that, and just maybe wash her face off and just say, hey, this is how you want to go with JoJo and get some cereal and things. So that was the start of our day. That was pretty much not an everyday occurrence, but it was pretty regular.
And is that how it went on this particular morning?
Oh, absolutely. It was a great morning to just have some fun together. Her and I act silly and dance around and watch a video or whatever it might be. So color.
What was her favorite video? Did she have a favorite?
Oh my gosh. Lady and a Tramp was a fantastic video for her to watch. 101 Dalmatians that she called Dalmatians. There was just a lot of different things that just captivated her that she loved. I wish I could remember more right now, but those two I know she watched quite frequently and enjoyed the most.
Now, this particular morning, do you recall when you first saw Casey?
Probably could have been about 9, 10 o'clock that morning, roughly right around there, her just getting up and getting her day started and just I can't remember exactly what she did to get ready that day for work or something like that. I know it was to me, it was a lot of precious time for me to spend with Kaylee. So whatever Casey could have done that morning, been on the computer, whatever she was doing, I let her do her thing because when you got time with your grandchild, your own child sometimes takes a back seat to that.
Okay. Was it just a normal morning? Anything out of the ordinary occurred? Anything different than the usual mornings that you had?
Not really anything I can really say that really stuck out at all. I just know that I was just so thankful to have time with Kaylee, talking to Casey. I'm sure we had a conversation about work or something. I don't remember the specifics about that aspect of it, but I do know that it was, when people talk about a typical or routine morning before they went off to work, it's probably just one of those typical times that we all sort of just take for granted sometimes.
All right. So did there come a time when Kaylee and Casey left the house that day?
That is something that is forever in my mind that I can't forget that day because that's the last day that I saw Kaylee and Casey together. I was watching a specific program on TV. It's on the Food Channel on one of our local cable TVs. And this gentleman who has this show called Drive Up Diners and Dives. I've just been amazed by his stuff. I just like him going around. But what's really just amazing is
what?
I remember the time because it was a commercial break on TV. And I remember Kaylee coming out from Casey's room, dressed in a nice little pink top. She had her blue jeans, little shorts on, her white sandals, pink socks, her white sunglasses, her hair pulled back, and she had a little backpack on. And I said, where are you going? And she says, going with Mommy. And I said, oh, really? I said, where are you going? I'm going to see Zanny. And I said, really? Great. I'm just excited. I'm just knowing that she's happy and I can see excitement in her. And
wait a minute.
And within a few minutes, Casey comes out and, dressed. And she says, Dad, we're going to work. I might be home late or.
Wait, so Kaylee told her grandpa, I'm going to see Zanny?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. Why, if Zanny didn't exist, why would little Kaylee even mutter that?
Is that the first time she's ever said Zanny, or did she say we're gonna go see my friend Zanny?
I don't know, but it sounds to me like George kind of has a crush on the diner dive-ins and drives guy. I'm sorry. I had to say it. I'm sorry. Why would he bring
Guy Fieri?
Yes, why would he bring him up like that? Like, oh, I like watching him. Like, what? Okay, I get it. Like, you remember what show you were watching.
Random.
But yeah, I mean, he's between pancakes and Guy Fieri.
He's got a food fetish.
Holy hell. But yeah, I'm kind of getting a weird vibe. Because, like, I don't believe that Kaylee would say that. I'm going to see Zanny. Like, Zanny doesn't exist, so why? Too young to be coached. I think she's too young.
Yeah. At 3? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, George. No, just no. I ain't buying it.
She was only 2, guys.
I'll let you guys know I might be staying over.
Staying over where?
She said, probably Zanny's house, because Zanny was, I guess, lived somewhere close by, or she didn't want to come home too late, and plus Kaylee would be in bed between 8:30, probably 9 o'clock. And I said, okay, it's something that happened every once in a while. It wasn't an occurrence that occurred. I think it could be every once in a great while. She would stay with a friend or stay at Zanny's house or something like that. So
up to this point in time, had you ever met Zanny?
No, I never met Zanny, never had any reason to, because I thought that's who.
Wait a minute.
So,
we see.
you told us about the conversation with Kaylee and with Casey.
I disagree. Your daughter and your granddaughter live with you. You kind of play father role, as he just said, but you have no reason to meet her nanny after 2 years.
Like, dude, you were in there when she gave birth.
Right. Like, you're calling it a pancake, dude, and you have no reason to meet her nanny?
I call BS.
I'm calling BS, too. And you know what? If I was a juror and I listened to this, then I hear Jose and his story, I'm done. Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to keep saying yikes, but there's a lot of yikes moments in this. Okay. Are you falling asleep on me, Meligator?
No, God,
okay.
No.
No. Jeez.
I went out. I generally, like I did when I could see them seeing Casey going off to work, and walking out with Kaylee and seeing Kaylee get placed in the car, getting buckled in her car seat. Just a normal type stuff. And I did. I'd blow her a kiss and say, "Jojo, I'll see you later," and she'd blow a kiss back and give Casey a hug. I just told her, drive safe, make sure you come home, not too late. Just normal father, grandfather type things to do.
And did you see them leave in a vehicle?
They left in Casey's car, which is a Pontiac Sunfire.
That's a white Pontiac Sunfire?
Yes.
Did you ever see Kaylee again?
I've never seen Kaylee since June 16th. I haven't seen her since.
Now, Mr. Anthony, I need to ask you some questions about something else. Have you ever sexually molested your daughter, Casey Anthony?
No, sir.
Have you ever committed any sexually inappropriate act with or in the presence of your daughter?
See,
Casey
she's shaking
Anthony?
the head, though.
No, sir.
Were you present in your home when Kaylee Anthony died?
No, and when I heard that today, it hurt really bad. Because if I would have known something would have happened to Kaylee, we wouldn't be here today.
Now, let me just ask you a couple of questions. When you were a law enforcement officer, were you trained in CPR?
Yes, sir.
Is there any extent that you would not have gone to save Kaylee's life?
I would have done everything possible, humanly possible, to save my granddaughter. If what was stated prior would have happened, I would have done anything I would to save my granddaughter.
Did you dispose of the body of your granddaughter?
No, I did not.
Did you obtain duct tape from your shed or garage and place it over the nose and mouth of Kaylee Anthony?
No, I did not.
did you have any role or any knowledge that Kaylee Marie Anthony died on June 16th, 2008, prior to recent revelations?
No, sir. I never had any duct tape. I never knew of anything that happened to Kaylee until our life started to unfold on July 15, 2008, and when Kaylee was found on December 11th.
Your Honor, I have no further questions of the witness at this time. I would like to reserve the right to recall.
I mean, he shows more emotion.
Cross-examination.
You think?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, she's just sat there and shook her head like pissed off the whole time.
Right,
He
because
actually got
she's
upset.
sitting there thinking he's lying. That's what she's trying to portray.
But
like
still,
what he's
it's
saying
her
isn't
daughter
true.
that's dead, and she's not shed a damn tear, and he is getting emotionally
She was crying.
upset.
She cried in the first section.
I
she
mean,
was-
I didn't see tears. Like Amber Heard tears?
No,
or...
she was
real
crying, legitimately crying tears.
She was probably crying for herself.
She
though.
may have been, but she may not. I mean, we don't know. We don't know if there was
No.
the essay. What if there was the essay?
No, there was. It's very possible.
What if there, okay, let's say that her story is true and she was essayed by him from when she was a little girl.
Mm-hmm.
Would you blame her for sitting there shaking her head at her dad? If he's lying?
But she shook her head the whole time.
She shook her head when she disagreed with what they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this dude was a homicide investigator for 10 years. If anybody could try to make something look like a homicide when it was an accident, I think he would be able to do it. And I'm not saying he did.
I mean,
but
I do too.
I'm saying he's got the experience, he's got the know-how, and to make it look like a homicide. He was a homicide investigator, undercover, no less, and worked in the drug undercover. So he knows the ins and outs, is what I'm saying.
But at the end of the day, it's her daughter. And it was her responsibility to keep her daughter safe. It was her responsibility to report her daughter missing, no matter what.
Well, I mean, that's true for anybody. I mean, you could say that, though, about kids that go missing when their parents take their eyes off them. The perpetrator who took them is still guilty.
But she didn't report for 31 days.
No, she didn't. But if it was, I don't know what the fuck. I mean, I can't piece it all together, but all I know is that this dynamic between father and daughter is not normal.
No, it's
not. His testimony is just off.
It is.
There's
off.
something. Yeah.
And just being in the delivery room, that made me uncomfortable. I
mean, I get that this is a very
emotional.
emotional, like, sensitive, thing, and he's probably nervous. But I mean, this dude was an undercover drug detective, and I think he can handle some testimony. You know what I'm saying?
He should be used to testifying on the stand. He really should.
Yeah. Yep. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people in chat were saying, why does it seem like he's acting? So I had to stop.
And I think if he did say it was her, I don't think he did to Kaylee, but I mean, I don't know. I wasn't there.
Oh, I don't know. If he did to her, I wouldn't put anything past someone who essays anybody. If you do it to your own daughter, you'll do it to anybody.
Yeah.
But I mean, like we said, there's no proof of that, but that is her claim. So, I mean, we have to talk about it because that was her defense.
Yeah.
So it's all in how you look at him. You can look at him as, oh my God, this is terrible.
That's what got her off, to be honest.
Well, exactly. Like, did you look at him like, is he a nice guy who is being, portrayed as this monster, or is he really what she says?
But in another hand, she's blaming them for all this SA stuff, but then like talking to them in video through the jail, like nothing ever happened. I don't know.
Well, that was prior to the trial, though, right? When her ass was literally right on the line.
Yeah.
Mr. Anthony, when did you first find out your daughter was pregnant?
I believe it was sometime in May or June of 2005.
So she was 7 months pregnant when you first found out?
6, 7 months. It could have been right around that time, yes.
Do you recall going to a wedding that was Cindy's brother's wedding?
I went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but I did not attend the wedding.
Were you ever confronted by Rick, her brother, about Casey's pregnancy?
We had a brief discussion about it, but I told Rick it was none of his concern, none of his business. Whatever was going on with Casey would be handled through Cindy and I. We're there for Casey. You don't have to worry about it.
So is it your testimony today that you knew she was pregnant and you just didn't want him to know, or you didn't know she was pregnant at the time?
I didn't have an exact knowledge of the time that she was, when I found out that she was pregnant, I didn't have that exact knowledge at that time. Did I have a feeling? Possibly, yes, no. But no, I mean, I did see a change physically in Casey, but nothing that I know that Cindy and I weren't going to, help her with or attend to.
Wait, what?
So the photograph that you saw here today.
So before
believe-
he sat down with her and her mother, he went to a wedding and her brother called him out on the pregnancy.
Yeah, and did you notice he slipped up and said it would be taken care of?
Ew, and
Yeah.
why did he say that he had noticed physically?
Well,
What?
I mean, she's probably growing.
No, she was a little 19-year-old. She was not she could have hidden it. She's little. And I saw pictures of her pregnant. She was all just basketball belly. She wasn't ready to deliver when they told him.
Right.
This girl was just pregnant. How the fuck did he notice physically?
Yeah, I think he knew.
Absolutely.
But how?
And he just got tripped up, so.
That she was, when I found out that she was pregnant, I didn't have that exact knowledge at that time. Did I have a feeling? Possibly, yes, no. But no, I mean, I did see a change physically in Casey, but nothing that I know that Cindy and I weren't going to, help her with or attend to.
So the photograph that you saw here today, you don't believe? Yes.
Yes.
Show you what is marked confesses to their pain.
Can I ask the counsel on this way and actually the jury that aren't evidence?
Mr. Baez, if it's not in evidence, you may.
Is that a fair and accurate representation of Casey when you went to the wedding?
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I did not attend the wedding. I was there, but I didn't go to the wedding that day. But as far as that being Casey and Cindy together, yes.
Judge, unless there's any objection, I'd like to move Defense Exhibit A into evidence.
Yes, Your Honor. Object. Counsel may not do that.
Sustain.
We'll call him back for that. Miss.
Cross the sidebar.
I'm going to
So we
guess
can all
it
be
was
clear,
a
Mr.
Not just a second.
picture pretty showing.
You may proceed.
So we can all be clear, Mr. Anthony. Did you know your daughter was pregnant the day the photograph was taken?
Not exactly. I mean, I had a feeling that she was, but then again, like I've stated, until we knew for sure, until we could take her in for some kind of test or something like that.
So the answer is no?
Yeah, the answer is no. I mean,
He's bumbling, man.
Does it look like it at that point, that photograph? Yeah,
He
possibly.
is, because
I
now
didn't
he's
ask you
saying
that.
they were
I
going to
just
take
asked
her
you,
in for
did you
tests,
know
but before he
if
said they
your daughter
sat
was
me
pregnant
down.
the day that photograph was taken?
What
Your
is he
answer
No.
talking
not
about,
exactly,
though? Why
no.
is he playing dumb? They have 2 children. What is he
Yeah.
talking about? Take her in. You go to the
Yeah.
damn drugstore and you buy a pregnancy test.
Right.
This isn't this dude's first rodeo with a pregnant
No.
person.
No, he knew she was pregnant.
Why is he acting so dumb?
I don't know.
I don't get it. Why lie about whether he knew she was pregnant or not?
Mm-hmm.
This is creepy.
Well,
And
even the
you were a
brother
father of
said they
2.
hid it from him.
Yes.
So
Right. Was the plan she wasn't going to keep it?
that's what I think.
Maybe in the beginning she talked about giving it up. So they thought, well, we won't tell anybody. You know, I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Donovan.
You were a father of 2 when that photo was taken.
Yes.
And is it your idea that your daughter had a beer belly?
I think the term was considered at one point maybe with retaining water or something like that. It's possible. I mean, I didn't believe that my daughter could be going to have a child right at that time, but stuff happens. I mean, it's...
Did anyone know that
Oh.
Casey was pregnant when that photograph was taken? Anyone outside?
Sustain.
Did you tell anyone at that time that Casey was pregnant?
No, not at that time. I did not know.
And when you were confronted with her pregnancy, you didn't want to talk about it, did you?
The first time I heard about Casey expecting a child is when Cindy and Casey came back to our house, and we sat down on the couch together, or very close to the proximity of our couch in our house. And Casey and Cindy told me that they have something that they wanted to tell me about.
And you didn't have a clue that Casey was pregnant up until that moment?
Like I said, maybe a feeling or an intuition to a point, but when they told me, I was elated. I was excited.
You have no problems with your vision, do you, sir?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. And was there an explanation given by your daughter lived with you, did she not?
Yes.
Every day?
Every day.
And you saw her every day?
Pretty much so. I'd say probably 99% of the time I would see her, yes.
And 6 months prior to that photograph being taken, did you see her retaining water then?
Well, I really don't believe that you see a person or a woman. Each woman is made up differently. Each woman is going to show a pregnancy differently.
My question to you, sir, is 6 months prior to the photograph being taken, did you see your daughter retaining water then?
6 months? No, did not.
Have you, prior to Casey being pregnant, had you ever seen her retaining water prior to that?
When Casey was younger, I know she put on weight here and there when she was involved with athletics and things like that. Casey was a very athletic young lady growing up.
And when she was younger and putting on weight due to being in athletics, did the weight gain in her stomach or elsewhere?
Stomach, it could be in her hindsight or her butt. Some people would consider it could be in her shoulders, and she would work out and it would sort of go away. She was an avid runner.
Her hindsight?
So as she was an avid runner, she would gain belly.
Hindsight.
I'm not saying.
No.
Why are you looking at her butt?
She'd be running as much or being as active. I think anyone is going to put on weight with inactivity.
Now, you mentioned that you were in the delivery room. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you were you assisted in the delivery?
No, I did not assist. I was there and observed my granddaughter being delivered.
And you didn't know who the father was up until that day?
No, I did not. Did not know that.
You didn't ask?
Not up to that point, I didn't, because when I found out that I was going to be a grandfather, Casey was expecting a child, and we went through the different tests, and we went...
My question to you, sir, is did you ask?
I think it was shortly thereafter, or right around, maybe just before she had delivery. I'm not sure of the exact time when I finally did ask.
Dude, she's
And I
clearly
remember
pregnant.
the name of Baker was brought up.
So the answer is yes,
So
you did
pregnant.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Now, how soon after finding out that your only daughter is pregnant did you ask? Who's the father?
I don't know. It could have been, like I said, just prior to her delivering Kaylee.
So
I'm not really sure. I don't have an exact timetable. You're asking me to be specific.
Just a second. Please let the witness finish answering the question before there's another question.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Are you finished, sir?
Yes. Yes, I am.
Now, after you find out your daughter is going to be giving birth to your first grandchild, how long after did she give birth?
Well, if I just found out in May or June, we had Kaylee was delivered in August, so it was over 2 to 3 months. You know, give or take a few weeks.
So in the entire
So she
few
was
months,
definitely
you never
showing.
stopped your daughter
6
and asked
months.
her, who is the father of this child?
Sustained.
You didn't ask her up until just before the child was born.
Sustained.
The day after, or the day you were confronted with this news, did you hold a party or anything like that?
No, just
A baby shower?
Mr. Anthony, did you answer the question, sir?
The day that I found out that I was going to be a grandfather, when I first got the news of Casey's pregnancy, and it was only Cindy, Casey, and I at our house.
Now, you testified under direct examination that you thought your daughter was working. Did you not?
Yes.
Do you recall speaking to the FBI on July 31st of 2008? Excuse me, July 30th.
I had spoken to the FBI, Sheriff's Department, numerous agents, a couple different agencies within a 2 or 3 week period.
And when you spoke to the FBI, did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her...
Just a second.
Sure, sure.
Sustain, rephrase your question.
Yes, I'll rephrase the question. On July 30th of 2008, do you recall speaking to an agent, Scott Boland, and an agent McEllier?
If that was a date that you have written down, that's probably the date that I did. I can't be specific on a timetable because I don't have information in front of me, but I'm sure that probably
Page 35, counsel, lines 1 through 4. Did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her...
Just a second.
I don't believe it is, Judge. Lines 1 through 4.
When you give the line and page, give counsel an opportunity to find the line.
Sir.
Okay, next question.
Did you make the statement, the irresponsibility, because I've known her, I've had a feeling for the last 2 years my daughter has not worked? Did you make that statement, Mr. Anthony?
I did. I did.
So was the statement you made under direct examination to this jury the truth, or was it to the FBI the truth?
Approach. You may continue.
Now, Mr. Anthony, you believed your daughter was working.
Yes, I believe Casey was working, yes.
And every 2 weeks, did she come home with a paycheck?
No, I never really saw a paycheck from her because if she had a direct deposit or however she handled her finances, that was up to her.
What did you see your daughter spending her paycheck on?
Pardon me?
What did you see your daughter spending her paycheck on?
Well, hopefully for necessities for her daughter, gas for her car, insurance to insure that car. I mean, we were very, very good about helping Casey out in any way we possibly could if she was struggling financially or anything like that at all. I mean, we just wanted to make sure she was responsible for herself and her child.
And since you were wanting to find out that she was responsible for her child, when did you ask to meet the nanny?
I never asked to meet a nanny. I never did.
And did the nanny ever call the house?
Not that I am ever aware of. No.
Did you ever hear the nanny speaking to Casey on the phone?
Right,
No.
like they never had to pick her up from the nanny.
Did you ever see photographs of the nanny?
No.
Did you ever see anything written describing a phone number or anything like that? Any information about the nanny?
No, just whatever Casey told us about that she had someone that was helping take care of Kaylee when her mother and I weren't available to.
And every day she would get up, get dressed, and go to work, and drop Kaylee off with the nanny.
That's what we were told she was doing. I mean, I had no reason, really, at too much at any point, not to disbelieve or believe my daughter. I mean, she was taking care of her child the best way she possibly could.
Is that a yes?
Well, I think you got an open-ended question there to a point, and I'm trying to answer the best way I possibly can. I mean, did I ever know that she was dropping Kaylee off every time, sir? That's what you're sort of asking me. I don't know. I was hoping she was taking her to someone she described or told us was a nanny.
My question to you, sir, is did she get dressed and go to work and leave the child with a nanny, as far as you know?
As far as I know, yes.
For 2 years.
It might not have been an exact 2-year period. It could have been a little bit less than that. You know, I'm not really known how long that she might have been.
A year and a half.
Possibly a year and a half. Could have been a year. I'm not really sure.
So you don't know the difference. You know Kaylee was only 2.5.
Yes.
Correct? So for most of her life, Casey dropped her off at a nanny that didn't exist. I'll rephrase the judge.
Sustain.
For 2 years, Casey dropped Kaylee off at a nanny that you never met.
Maybe not a whole 2 years. But to answer your question, yes, someone I never met, someone I had never had a phone number for or had any indication to go to pick Kaylee up or anything like that.
For most of her life?
For probably maybe a half of her life. I'm just going in a roundabout way. But actually, to answer your question, Kaylee, when Kaylee came up missing, Kaylee was 2 years and 10 months, not 2.5. So that needs to be clarified, sir, with you.
Okay. Now let me ask you this: did you ever go to a sports authority to verify if Casey worked there?
Absolutely, I did. Yes.
And you found out she wasn't working there?
I found out that she was not employed there because I went to go surprise my daughter at lunch.
Just surprise her?
Yeah, to take my daughter to lunch just to see how she was doing. Yes.
And it had nothing to do with the fact that you suspected she was not working?
That was a twofold thing. Yes, to see if she was there, and if she was there, great, terrific. I'll take her out to lunch.
So which was it? Was it because you wanted to surprise her for lunch, or you wanted to verify and see if she was lying to you?
Sustain.
Are you saying, sir, that both of those were the reasons? Is that what your testimony is?
One, hoping that she was working there. Secondly, if she was, I would take her out to lunch.
Now, the Sports Authority was not Universal Studios.
No, it was not, but I understood from Casey being an event planner, again, they do not run these events every single day. She can
My
only
question
be
to you, sir, is Sports Authority.
I'm trying to explain.
Sustain. Listen, folks. Ask the question. Let there be a break between the answer, Mr. Anthony. The court reporter cannot take it down when both of you are talking. And if a witness is being over-responsive, counsel say the witness is being over-responsive. But do not interrupt a witness when the witness is attempting to answer the question. You may proceed.
Sports Authority is not the same as Universal Studios.
I will agree, yes.
Now, did you ever go to Universal Studios to inquire if your daughter was working?
No, I did not.
I want to discuss June 16th of 2008. Do you understand?
Yes.
You said you had breakfast with Kaylee.
Yes.
Kaylee would often have breakfast with you.
Numerous times, yes, we'd have breakfast together. Yes.
Kaylee loved to swim.
Yes.
And Kaylee would almost go swimming every day.
She would go as frequently as I know that Cindy would take her or Cece would take her. I rarely ever got in the pool with Kaylee unless Cindy and I were there together with her.
Kaylee would wake you up and say, "Jojo, swim. Jojo, swim." Correct?
She did a few times, yes.
And Kaylee could get out of the house relatively easily. Correct?
Relatively easy. I'll agree with you to that, yes.
Now, around June 16, 2008, you were having significant marital problems with Cindy, were you not?
Not on that particular day, no.
Let's go back for a little bit. Once Kaylee was born, you moved out, did you not?
Yikes.
Approach. You may proceed.
Now, when Kaylee was born, you moved out.
Jen, I wondered the same thing.
No.
Around that time. How many months before you moved out?
November, towards the end of November, first part of December 2005.
Sorry?
They filed
Towards
for
the end of
divorce and
November,
then they
beginning of December
disposed. They didn't go through
So
with
Kaylee
it.
would have been just a few weeks, a couple months old?
If I'm not mistaken, from August to December could only be almost 4 months.
I'm sorry?
From August to December could be almost 4 months or going into like a fifth month.
She was an infant when you moved out.
Yes, yes.
And Lee also moved out.
Lee was out on his own, trying to establish himself as a young man in the world, just trying to get out to be on his own, to have some responsibility.
And the issues with you moving out of the house was because Casey didn't want you around.
No,
that correct?
That wasn't the reason. That wasn't the reason.
What were the reasons for you moving out of the house?
Cindy and I had some financial difficulties. We were going through a really tough marital time, and that is a personal matter between her and I, and that's not for the court or you to decide. I'm not on trial here for that.
This is when you told Cindy you had a gambling problem, correct?
I'd done some gambling on the internet. Yes, sir. That's well established, and I'm not going to deny that. I did it.
Now, did you tell the FBI that it wasn't a gambling problem, that you fell for some Nigerian bank scam?
There was a Nigerian bank scam and also some minor gambling that was done. So, I mean, I didn't lie to them. I told them the truth. I'm telling you the truth today.
So it's both. You were gambling and you fell for a Nigerian bank scam as well.
And I believe there's other people that have happened to. Yes, sir, did. Yes.
I believe there's other people that's happened to. Like, an
And when you
ex-cop
moved
fell
back,
for a Nigerian
the tension between you
scam.
and Casey continued.
Not really. There was some tension because I had moved out of the house, but it wasn't because of prior tension between Kaylee and I or Casey and I or anything like that. I mean, Cindy and I were going through a rough time. It happens. But as far as when I came back to the house, things were a lot better because I didn't just come back all of a sudden. It took months for me to gain some confidence back with Cindy and our marriage and stuff again. And it's something we're still working on today.
Now, going back to June 16th, after you had breakfast with Kaylee, what did Kaylee do then?
Oh, we watched a DVD. I'm almost positive we did, as far as which one. I can't remember specifically. But just spending time with her. Coloring book was something we did pretty much an everyday occurrence.
And
just spending time with her.
And it's your testimony that both Casey and Kaylee left the house at 12:50.
12:50 or shortly thereafter. Yes, sir. Positive.
Okay.
I'm roughly thinking about that was probably the time.
Good question in chat. Shit, I don't know where we were. I just screwed up. Good question in chat, you guys. Why would he say he wasn't ever alone in the pool with Kaylee unless his wife was there? Hello? I can't hear you. Can you guys hear Heather? I can't hear Heather. But what is that all about? And this ex law enforcement officer falls for a Nigerian scam? Like, what the? Heather, if you're talking, I can't hear you. Oh, she dropped. I'm by myself. You're just with me. All right, guys, we're going to finish this one out because we got about 20 minutes left. That's it of this part of the trial.
I'd done some gambling on the internet. Yes, sir. That's well established, and I'm not going to deny that. I did it.
Now, did you tell the FBI that it wasn't a gambling problem, that you fell for some Nigerian bank scam?
There was a Nigerian bank scam and also some minor gambling that was done on it. So, I mean, I didn't lie to them. I told them the truth. I'm telling you the truth today.
So it's both. You were gambling and you fell for a Nigerian bank scam as well.
And I believe there's other people that have happened to. Yes, sir, did. Yes.
Hold on, I'm coming back.
And when you moved back, the tension between you and Casey continued.
Not really. There was some tension because I had moved out of the house, but it wasn't because of prior tension between Kaylee and I or Casey and I or anything like that. I mean, Cindy and I were going through a rough time. It happens. But as far as when I came back to the house, things were a lot better because I didn't just come back all of a sudden. It took months for me to gain some confidence back with Cindy and our marriage and stuff again. And it's something we're still working on today.
Now, going back to June 16th, after you had breakfast with Kaylee, what did Kaylee do then?
Oh, we watched a DVD. I'm almost positive we did. As far as which one, I can't remember specifically. But just spending time with her, coloring a coloring book was something we did pretty much an everyday occurrence. And just spending time with her.
And
I'm getting it back, you guys.
Casey and Kaylee left the house at 12:50.
12:50 or shortly thereafter, yes, sir. Positive. I know that for a fact.
And what time did you go to work at that day?
Shortly after 2 o'clock, 2:10, 2:15. I only had about a 10-minute drive to go to work, and I just lived a short distance. I mean, I worked a short distance away.
Joined.
Now, you described to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what Kaylee was wearing that day.
Yes.
And that was a pink top?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
And jean shorts?
Yes.
And white sunglasses?
She had white sunglasses? Yes.
And a backpack with monkeys on it. Is that correct?
When I first was asked the question by the state, I just said a backpack. But yeah, it did have what I believe was a monkey design on it, yes.
What did Cindy wear that day?
I have no idea. I can't remember what Cindy wore that morning because Cindy would leave sometime between 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. I mean, she was very professional wearing it. Could have been a pair of slacks and a top. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
What did Cindy wear the next day?
Overrule as to that question.
What did Cindy wear the next day?
Again, it could have been slacks. It could have been a dress. A nice top. I don't know. I don't know what Cindy wore the next day.
Now, you weren't asked about what Kaylee was wearing for 1 month after she went missing, correct?
And he said that little pink. He knew exactly what she was wearing.
Nobody asked you what Kaylee was wearing the last time you saw her until July 15th, 2008, 1 month after you last saw her.
Oh,
That's
shit.
correct, because I didn't know that we would be having a missing child in our lives and be thrown into this. I didn't know anything about that, but I specifically know what she wore because that's the last time I saw her, and that's what she had on.
And you had no idea when you saw her for the last time that would be the last time you saw her.
That's correct.
But yet, 1 month later, you still remember what she was wearing.
Sustained.
Did you remember 1 month later what Kaylee was wearing?
Sustained.
But you can't recall what your wife was wearing.
Sustained.
Do you remember what your wife was wearing last Tuesday?
Sustained.
Now, Mr. Anthony, you reported gas cans missing on the 24th of June, right? So yes.
May I answer, Your Honor?
Yes, you can answer.
On June 24th of 2008, yes, I made a report to the Orange County Sheriff Department about a break-in of a shed. Someone forcibly broke into a shed and removed gas cans.
And you did that because you were concerned that someone was burglarizing your shed.
He even remembered the color of her socks.
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, when you got the gas cans back from your daughter, how did that occur?
Sustained.
Mr. Anthony, did you ever notice any duct tape on that gas can?
Yes. You may continue.
If you guys are wondering how she
Mr.
got
Anthony,
off, you're watching
you testified
it.
today that Kaylee did not drown in the pool, correct?
That's correct.
And you said that when you heard this today, we would not be here if that were the case. Do you remember saying those words?
Yes, sir.
But you've heard this previously, have you not?
Okay.
Was the question is phrased?
Yes.
Okay. Now, and you've heard this previously from several different areas, do you not? Did you not?
No, sir, just one area.
You've also heard from the prosecution that that's how Kaylee died. Did you not?
Yep.
You may. Objection sustained. Rephrase the question.
Mr. Anthony, you met yesterday with prosecutors in this case, did you not?
Yes, for a brief period of time, I talked to Mr. Ashton, yes.
And you spoke to Mr. Ashton about the testimony today.
Briefly, yes, we just discussed how I would be basically questioned by the state, by him, and there was no exact questions or anything like that. We just went over a generality of things. Yes, sir.
So you were prepped and
no, sir, I was not prepped. No, that's a misconception. I was not prepped. I was just told that I'd possibly, or it looked like I'd be the first person called, and that we would talk about my granddaughter, and we've done that.
How long did you meet with Mr. Ashton?
About an hour, roughly. I'm just roughly guessing.
And he told you the questions he was going to ask you?
No, sir. I already answered
Just
that.
a second. He's answered the question, so objection overruled at this point.
Now,
Just a second. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the court at an appropriate time in talking about judging the credibility of witnesses, the court will instruct you it is entirely proper for a witness to discuss their testimony with their attorneys prior to them coming into court, and that a witness should not be discredited by talking to an attorney. Instruction will read exactly, it is entirely proper for a lawyer to talk to a witness about the testimony the witness would give if called into the courtroom. The witness should not be discredited by talking to a lawyer about his or her testimony. You may continue.
you currently have a lawyer, do you not?
Yes, I do.
And within 24 hours of reporting Kaylee missing, you had a lawyer then by the name of Paul Kelly, did you not?
Overruled at this point.
Mr. Paul Kelly is a workers' comp attorney. I did seek his advice when this first occurred because I had no one else to turn to. And with him having legal knowledge, yes, I did, but I did not retain him. He was there just as, we brought him in as a friend to help us through the first hour, the first few days, whatever it's going to be. We never retained him. He was there just to counsel us through something, help us go in the right direction if we needed some kind of assistance.
You sought legal advice from him within 24 hours of calling law enforcement, did you not?
We had Mr. Kelly to our house the day that we first met you at our house, if I am pretty much on point with that. Prior to that, I never talked to Mr. Kelly.
You sought legal advice from Mr. Kelly. Is that a yes? I didn't ask you when.
Okay, I will answer that yes right now.
And that was within 24 hours of calling the police in this case.
It possibly could have been within a 24-hour period. I'm not sure. Okay, I'll say yes at this point.
And then after you mentioned he's not a criminal defense lawyer, then you retained a criminal defense lawyer subsequent to him, did you not?
You may. Objection sustained. Next question.
Now, Mr. Anthony, you stated that you never had any duct tape. Is that correct?
I didn't say anything about duct tape.
Are you aware of the duct tape that's involved in this case?
I was made aware of it some time ago. I can't the exact nature about how I got to have knowledge of duct tape. I could have seen it on the internet or some discovery that was left out there. I'm not really sure.
You're not sure?
I'm not sure of the exact timeline. I mean, I understand that there was some duct tape that's part of this trial, part of this case.
You sat right over there while I gave my opening statement, did you not?
Yes, sir, I did.
So you know exactly what I'm referring to, do you not?
Sustained, you can ask them about duct tape, but you can't ask them about your opening statement. Opening statement is not evidence. Next question.
You understand what the issue is, correct? You've seen the duct tape that we're referring to?
Yes.
Now, you told Mr. Ashton that you never had any duct tape. Were you in possession of that duct tape?
I don't remember that duct tape, whatever you're talking about, I remember that being exactly at my home. I mean, I've had tapes and stuff for many years. I mean, I've purchased duct tape at different places. I'm not...
Henkel brand duct tape.
Sustained. Mr. Anthony, would you finish answering the question, please, sir?
That specific one, if that was at my house, then I guess that could be considered, yes, in my possession. I had knowledge of it.
And you did not put the duct tape on that gas can, correct?
Sustained.
Were you in possession of that duct tape at the public supermarket, the command center, while you were passing out flyers of your missing granddaughter?
Who hangs flyers with duct tape anyway?
No.
Doesn't even seem like it would stick.
Don't they usually use that clear tape?
Yeah, put a 1 in chat if you would hang flyers with duct tape.
Mr. Anthony, when did you first find out that your car was towed?
Overrule as to that question.
When I first found out about our Pontiac Sunfire had been towed, we had received a notice through the United States Postal Service. See, like a yellowish color tag, probably about the size of this. And it just had our name on it, the person who had sent it, and it was available to be picked up, at the local post office where we get our mail delivered from.
Do you understand my question, sir? My question was...
When I first got notice of it?
When did you first know or find out that your car was towed? What date?
I believe it was Sunday, the 13th of July. It was on a Sunday.
And you picked up the car on the 15th?
Overrule.
You picked up the car on the 15th?
Yes.
And when you picked up the car, did you advise anyone that your granddaughter was missing?
If I remember correctly, when I was walking around the car with the gentleman at the tow yard, and after realizing that I hadn't seen my granddaughter for nearly a month, and I really hadn't had a lot of contact with my daughter within that month, I was concerned when I seen the car being towed there, when I saw the car had been towed there.
Did you advise anyone that your granddaughter was missing when you picked up the car?
No, not at that time. I didn't say she was missing, no.
You didn't tell anyone that you hadn't seen your granddaughter?
What I said to the tow gentleman that was there, I don't remember his name off the top of my head. It was when we were walking around the back of the car. I didn't verbally say it out loud. I think I said it in a very soft tone. That I hope this is not my daughter or my granddaughter or both, because of the way the car smelled.
And that smell was the smell of human decomposition.
Sustained.
After you smelled that smell, sir, what did you do?
Mr. Baez.
Judge, until this witness is called for further testimony, I have no questions.
Any redirect in those areas?
Since Mr. Bias has raised it, tell us about the Sports Authority incident when you went to check on your daughter's work situation. What happened?
When I arrived at Sports Authority, I went inside and was met with a younger gentleman at one of the cashier areas. And I introduced myself. I said, I'm George Anthony. I'm Casey's father. Is Casey here? And the gentleman said, who's Casey? And I said, Casey Anthony. And I gave her a brief description.
Sustained.
Honor, it's not for the truth of the matter asserted. It's simply to establish.
Mr. Bias, she didn't hear your objection.
If I
Go
may,
ahead.
it's not for the truth of the matter asserted, just to establish the events that flow from the statement. I would ask the court to reconsider.
Sustained.
Now, based upon what the gentleman told you, what did you do?
I got a little concerned and I asked to see the manager.
And did you have additional conversations with him?
I
Without
just-
telling me what they were, did you have additional conversations with him?
I had more conversation with the manager and found out that
Don't tell me what they said. Now, after that conversation, what did you do?
knowing that Casey was not there, I got in my car and left.
At some point, did you address this issue with either your wife or your daughter or both?
First time I addressed it with my wife, Cindy.
All right. And tell us about that conversation.
It was not the best conversation to have with Cindy at the time because of feeling that I was invading Casey's privacy to a point, following her. Just should have just let it go and not
Was your
been the detective of the house to look to go find what was going on.
Was your detective work well received by your wife?
No, it was not. It was not.
Did it create additional strife in a relationship that you were trying to repair?
Slightly, but we worked through it.
Did you address this with Casey as well?
I don't remember if I really addressed it immediately or if it was a short period of time after, or we just had a brief discussion. I mean, I don't think it was anything that was that bad. You
just let it go.
Just let it go.
Now, can you tell us when, in relation to the last time you saw Kaylee, this would have been the same year, the year before? Can you give us a general idea?
The last time I saw my granddaughter Kaylee was June 16, 2008.
I mean, the Sports Authority incident. When was
Sports
that?
Authority, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sports Authority incident. I believe it was towards the end of 2007. Could have been the early part of 2008. I'm not really sure of that generality of the time, but I know it wasn't all that long ago.
Now, let's talk about Mr. Kelly, the attorney that counsel asked you about. Had he done some work for you in the past?
He was my workers' comp attorney when I had a couple different injuries. He took care of that for me.
And how far back was that he worked as your attorney?
Overruled.
How far back was it that he actually worked as your attorney?
He helped me two different occasions. One time was in, I believe it was 1995, 1996, and again in the early part of 2000.
Subsequent to that, had your relationship with Mr. Kelly changed from lawyer-client to something more personal?
Oh, we've been just great friends for nearly 20 years.
And did you and Cindy socialize with his family? Did your kids socialize together? Was it that kind of relationship?
We've been out to dinner a couple different occasions, been to his home, and shared a meal at his home with him and his family.
And when you had him come to your house the day, I guess the day after you found out Kaylee was missing, was he there more as a friend or more as a legal advisor?
Overruled.
Friend, but also legal. I mean, it was a combination of both because Cindy and I didn't know where to turn, except to turn to someone that we considered our friend and had legal knowledge. So we were reaching out to just get some help.
How would you describe your emotional state on that day, the 16th of July, the day after everything was revealed, and the day that... How were you feeling? What were your emotions then? No, I believe this is the date that counsel was referring to.
Overruled.
Just tell us that.
Very tired, very edgy. Had nothing to eat or drink since probably earlier the day prior to that. You talk about running on fumes. I mean, you're going in so many different directions. It's hard just to sit down and just concentrate on one particular thing because your whole main objective is to find your missing granddaughter. That's whatever it took. I mean, we were, to say how exactly I felt that day, I do know that we were just devastated.
No further questions.
Okay, may the witness stand down?
Subject to recall.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Stanford. You may resume your seat.
All right, JB. We have to
Okay,
stand
we'll
down.
take care of it. Thank you, Ms. Stanford.
All right, that concludes George Anthony's testimony. We got through quite a bit. I don't know if Heather J is still with me or not.
No, I am. Can
Okay.
you hear me?
I can. I've got you kind of covered up by Cindy over here.
Oh,
Here we
that's fine.
Oh, now there we are. Yeah, so that's it. That's his testimony. What did you think? I mean, so Jose didn't really ask him a whole lot. He didn't really need to. Tripped him up quite a bit.
Yeah, he definitely took a long time answering Jose's questions.
Yeah, like hesitating.
Yeah, the prosecution, he answered the questions like snap, snap, snap.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Jose, he just didn't really know what to say.
No, I don't know, Lisa. I don't know if they gave him a lie detector. I don't know much about the investigation portion of it. But it seems to me early on they were on Casey's tail.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that they were suspecting the grandparents.
Well, I mean, Casey was arrested, 31 days after?
No, once they made the 911 call, I think she was arrested within days, wasn't she?
Yeah, they made the 911 call July 15th. And then she was arrested
Come on, Dr. Google.
yeah. I know she was in court on the 17th, so she must have been arrested on the 16th.
I know it was right around that same time. Like, it was not long. Couple days,
Yeah,
I think.
it was the 16th. They arrested her, and they charged her with child neglect and making false statements.
Yes, and they were able to hold her and then hold her over for the murder charges later.
Yeah.
She was in jail for 3 years. Waiting. Now, that is one thing that I thought of, okay? I was thinking about this last night. I was watching something, and I'm like, if it was truly an accident, why would you let your client sit in jail for 3 years? Why wouldn't you say, hey, it was an accident, let's talk about a plea or something? I don't know.
Well, the judge initially denied bail for her. And then I think it was set at like $500,000.
Yes.
So maybe they couldn't afford it. But I mean, yeah, you're right.
Right, but if it was an accident, I mean, 3 years, you wouldn't come forward and say, look, this was an accident. He would let your client sit in there and then possibly face life in prison. I don't know. It just seems like a risky move.
It was risky, but it paid off.
Yeah, I mean, it did. It worked in their favor. I see so many
Unfortunately.
conflicting thoughts in chat. It's crazy, though. I think a lot of people are looking at this different than they did the first time around.
See, even Mal now is saying it's not an accident.
Yeah, crazy. I don't know. My mind may change. But thanks you guys for joining, and thanks Heather and Maligator and Potato. I know she's in dreamland right now, but I want to thank you guys for coming up on panel. I always like having you guys to chat with and hearing your thoughts, because sometimes it gets tiresome, like talking to yourself, It's lonely.
Well, it's nice having different opinions too.
It is. I like hearing your guys' thoughts.
Some of us play devil's advocate. And...
Don't you know?
That's Mal.
So she did the 3 years, so that was time served when she was found guilty of lying to the investigators and stuff, right? Yep, Peppermint. I like that name, Peppermint. That's my favorite mint is a peppermint. Random fun fact. All right, you guys. Why wasn't there multiple counts for jury to fall back on? Right, that's what we're saying. They didn't have any choices. So she can never be charged for it no matter what now.
No.
No matter
jeopardy.
what kind of technology they come out with. Even if they come out with technology that can prove she did it. She'd still get away with it.
Yep.
And I want to give a shout out to David Lohr. If you guys want to check out David Lohr's channel, he's got a lot of true crime cases, and he actually has a lot of other videos on the Anthony debacle too. There's you thought the laundry protesters were wild, dude. These people were getting in fistfights in their front yard. There was little kids out there saying, "Where's Kaylee?" I mean, I saw a news video, and it was just shameful. It made me sick, actually, because all the news people were gathered around these 3 kids, and they were holding signs, and they were standing in front of the Anthony house, and the youngest one looked like she was probably 7 or 8, and then the oldest was probably 12, 13 maybe, and they were standing in front of the Anthony home screaming, "Where is Kaylee? Baby killer." And I'm looking at this and I'm like, where are their freaking parents? And the media was just all around them. And I'm just like, wow, I don't remember all of this. But yeah, I think his channel has some of that stuff on there as well. So yeah, he's got a lot of stuff. So I'm going to put the link to that in the description. It is in the first part in the description of that video. So yeah, I mean, I don't remember it being that crazy. We were all crazy about the Bullhorners. That's nothing compared to the madness that was going on in front of the Anthony home. There were men that were standing in front of there asking her to marry them. With poster boards, "Marry me, Casey." Yes, there is some wild ass footage out there.
Oh my God, people are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Go on YouTube and put a search in YouTube and put Casey Anthony protesters. You'll be like, holy shit. But yeah, there's quite a few videos out there. Yeah, we don't know. Kaylee's paternity is unknown. And Casey said
she would.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, she'd take it to her grave.
You just finished my sentence. I love it.
Sorry.
No, that's cool. We're on the same wavelength. Muck Boys says, "Oh yeah, I'd marry her. Maybe she can take some photos of you, Muck Boys."
Oh geez, Muck Boys.
Muck Boys, why don't you hire her to do a photo shoot, and then invite me and I'll live stream it.
Muck Boys must be into the crazy.
Muck Boys likes them psycho girls. All right. On that note, I'm out of here. Good night, Heather J. Sleep tight, and thanks again.
Good night. I will talk to you tomorrow.
Sounds good. Take care. And all you guys, all you Roberters out there, thank you for all your support. Thank you for your support through this crazy YouTube. I don't know what you call it. YouTube world, YouTube streets, whatever the hell people call it these days. I don't know. But there's a lot of ugly out there, and I'm choosing to turn my cheek from the ugly and look forward. And I hope that you guys will join me on that journey moving forward. And I am going to post my lawsuit in my Facebook group. If you could join my Facebook group, if you would like to read through that lawsuit Nexstar big giant media group has against me for copyright for using footage from their Gabby Petito Brian Laundrie manhunt. I'm going to post it in its entirety. I think people on YouTube are sharing it going, "Oh my God, I've got it. Really, I want you to read it. I want you to see what they're accusing me of. The links are in the lawsuit of the videos that they're claiming, okay? because everyone's like, oh, because they said you put a watermark in it, and this Deborah Childress wrote this in this article. It must be true. Go, and if you're questioning it, if you're questioning me, go watch the videos for yourself. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna post the entire lawsuit, the complaint, in J is for Justice podcast Facebook group. It's a PDF. You can read through it. There's links to every video that they're claiming. They're all available on my channel. I'm being completely open and transparent. I did not take WFLA's work, put my watermark of J is for Justice over it, and claim it was me. It's ludicrous to even say that. How could I pretend that I'm JB Bueno? What did I do? Pretend that I'm a guy doing reporting and put my... It makes no sense. Please, before you jump to conclusions, before you listen to other content creators that are reveling in this madness because they love watching people go through hell, watch the videos for yourself. Please join my group. Read it for yourself, and then you tell me if it's fair that a 68,000 sub YouTube channel is being challenged in a federal court by a multi-billion-dollar media company who has already purchased 65% of the mainstream media networks and affiliates in the United States. And I'm sure they're wanting to own all of them. They're already at 65%. And you've never even heard of Nexstar Media. And they're already at 65% ownership. It's not fair. And I won't be the only one affected. If I roll over and sign an agreement saying I will never use another news clip of theirs, I'm rolling over for every person that is on YouTube in this arena who wants to share clips and news and bring their listeners the latest and their thoughts on it. That's what fair use is. Fair use is not about the length of the clip, Kim. Red Kim. It's not about the length. It doesn't matter if it's 5 seconds or 2 hours. Fair use is only, it's up to a judge's discretion. Every case is unique. It is not cookie cutter. So you're wrong. So before you listen to content creators, please read the case yourself. And if you know any YouTube lawyers, LawTube, send them to the lawsuit. I want all the opinions I can. I want other content creators to know what this big giant media company is trying to do. They want to own the tubes. They own News Nation. They own ABC, NBC, Fox. I mean, the list goes on and on. We need to protect the little guys. The little guys. But yeah, if I put my watermark over WFLA's work, then they would have to be saying that I'm impersonating JB Bueno or something, because that it makes zero sense. Regardless. Woo! All right, I'm done with that. But thank you guys for your support, your love, being here. It means a lot to me. If I never have one more person other than the people that are here right now, I am completely content, and I want you to know that. So much love to you. Stay safe. Tomorrow's Monday. If you're heading into work tomorrow, be safe. Love you guys, and I will let you know when we're going to move into the next part of the Casey Anthony trial. And now all your birders can dance it out. I love you guys.
I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems.